We are live. Danny's live with an avatar. It's awesome.
There you
Danny,
go.
I thought you were in move mode. I was gonna.
No, not yet. Yeah, waiting on a piano delivery. I think that's something that only happens once.
You got a little low in volume. I don't know what happened.
Oh, me? Maybe I'm over. How about now?
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Music's like
Moniker
super
in the
loud.
chat. I see you. Boogie Hill Faders. How ironic. They're here. DJ Spawn. Armad is here. And let's see. On Instagram, we got Carlos, Sonia. Who else we got? Giant Diego. Cowabunga. Felix Shorn.
Whole bunch
Thank you guys
here.
for hanging out. 10 steps
steps.
here. DJ Whoops. What's going on? Rimnes Music. DJ Augie. Oh, yo, quick. We haven't done shout outs to Domenico's in the building, too. Domenico, you know you're supposed to be watching on Twitch. Quick shout outs to people who have come through Finish My Track recently. Black Caviar, of course. DJ Augie. Luso has something he's putting out and ran it through Finish My Track. Amba Shepherd did a really killer record that's coming out soon.
Yeah.
Who else we got? Todd Stuckey.
Todd, I worked on one for Todd this morning. That sounds dope.
Yeah. Boogie Hill Faders, of course. Mics are low next to the music. All right. That's good to know.
Yeah, I thought so.
I'm just going to get up in this thing again, like last night.
I know, right? It messes me up when we do like go on, keep changing platforms. Then
Yeah.
I never know like where everything's supposed to sit.
Pablo, in the back, is there any way to turn us up a little bit? Is that possible?
Well, I just need to turn the music down probably.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, we can turn ourselves.
Loopback does this thing where it automatically turns down the master. Does it ever do that for you?
Yeah, it's doing it right now. It keeps going
Super.
down. I'm watching it.
Yeah, it's doing that for me too.
I wonder what that's about.
It's like an
That's-
auto limiting, but it's not limiting. It's just automating the volume down.
Yeah, you know what would be sick is if it was doing it. Oh, I wish it would do it. I've actually hit them to see if they could get like MIDI control on Loopback.
That would be
Because
awesome.
that would be so helpful when you're running like, I don't know, that was playing out of QuickTime. We do demos out of Safari. We got my mic volume of, yeah, just bump me down to 88% from 100 for no reason.
Oh, I see. Pablo said turn off auto mic volume
Yeah, but that still doesn't explain what it's doing in
Loopback. Yeah,
Loopback, yeah.
the ghost of the loop.
Yeah.
Quick shout outs to anybody who came to the Fried Fam event last night. Thank you guys. That was an awesome time. Gave a lot of stuff away.
Yeah.
Played some new music. In fact, I was going to play the Boogie Hill Faders video today, but I didn't have it loaded into Reach.
Oh, right, yeah.
But we got
if you
Go
don't
ahead.
load it, it's going to look all choppy. It won't do it justice.
Yeah, so anybody who got it last night got the jump and the exclusive, and then tomorrow it officially comes out. So you'll see Boogie Hill Faders, Big Knob, Sexy comes out tomorrow with the animated video. Yeah, it just
Yeah.
bumped me down to 98% on Loopback. I don't get it. And yeah, Enhanced Cap. He's rocking the free.
Yeah.
Any free caps I got Label Works on, any brands we represent.
Free
They give us free swag. Disco Fries, Fried Fam shirt, record shop.
Yeah, we're that's all we do. Hey. That's all we do.
That's all we do.
My
Yo,
office is
show
just
'em.
littered with it.
Show him the costume.
All right,
Danny
so
had a
before the stream started, there was just like this bag chilling back here, and Nick was like, "Nice body back there," and I was like, "Yeah, I like have to like move some stuff around."
Let's see
Ready
it.
for the big reveal? Can we take guesses on what's in there? Well, now that you can already see it in the corner.
You kind of see it.
You still don't know. It's a giant Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles head.
I mean, that should just be on the shelf behind you at all
Yeah.
times.
Yeah, maybe
I like
I'll
that
just,
it's marginally cross-eyed now because of the fabric being a little funky.
Yeah, now he's looking shifty. I feel like, yeah, we need a mannequin that just chills on the couch with this on its head, right?
Yeah.
This was like, I think I probably wore this when I was like 8 or something, and my parents are moving, so they cleared out everything in their basement and found this, and I was like, hell yeah, I'm gonna throw that on my son for Halloween one year before he has opinions.
Before he has opinions.
Don't take advantage before they have opinions.
So today's guest. Oh, actually, before I say the guest, if you guys are in Charlotte this Saturday, we're playing at QC Social this Saturday night. Hit us if you are going to be out and slide in the DMs. We'll hook it up. Boogie Hill Fader said, "What's in the studio?" episode. Yeah, exactly. So, you do the honors. You're good at these intros.
Well, I feel like everyone watching. I mean, there's some new people thanks to Reach, but everyone here already knows. Our guest today has a long history in the music industry, from SiriusXM to Spotify, now doing his own radio show, starting his own label, Dope or Nope, every week with Nick and others. What else is there to say?
That's the long and short of it. Ladies and gentlemen, Austin, the legendary Austin Kramer.
Hey.
Yes. With the
Howdy,
reveal.
partners. Thanks
I
for the
love
kind intros. That's very nice.
Man, I love the background. Is this like your summer setup for Dope or Nope? You're just gonna be camped out there?
I think so. Yeah, this is the Thirsty Thursday episode. Summer Fridays are now on Thursdays, so we're in the green room.
And the
I like
stash
it.
is back.
Yeah, I did that for you guys, just for the
thanks.
I
stream.
love it.
See, what happens is I let mine grow in, and then I'm always just tempted to take it all off. But I think I've only done it once or twice, and it's never good. So I try to refrain.
Refrain from the shave.
Yeah. Well, from the if it grows in, then I'm like, what would it be like if I take all this off, and then you can't put it back, and it just doesn't.
Yeah,
work
it's a
for me.
commitment with
Yeah.
time.
Nick too. Nick does it occasionally, and
Yeah. No, I do it twice a year, 3 times a year. Full clean sweep. It's weird, man.
Rimnus
weird.
says stash goes perfect with a hat. It's got like Tapatio vibes,
Thank you.
Yeah.
like the hot
know what?
sauce.
Great, man.
Last week or 2 weeks ago, I think I was putting the podcast up, and someone I think it was Hess, said something about you having to shave before Danny got into Jersey when you guys did your photo shoot. And I was like, that was kind of like a backhanded compliment, like you were looking disheveled before the stream or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Like he slid
it
that
wa-
right in there.
He did. I love the roast parts of Dope or Nope. It's pretty entertaining. I don't know if Danny's caught much of the show.
I do. I tune in. School's out for my kids, but that's the reason I would always have to get off the stream is to go pick them up, and I would like watch while I was walking there. But
It's very enjoyable. So the reason Austin's here today is not only because we're all friends, but also because he just launched a new label.
yeah, we heard about this a little while ago. But why don't you give people like a little idea of what the label's about?
Yeah, for sure. So I've been in touch with Blanco y Negro. It's Spain's largest indie, and there are a lot of dance producers in Spain. So in general, there's a lot of dance music that ran through Blanco. I've been in touch with Ricard for many years. And then just out of the blue, we started chatting again. And, I expressed my goals with him. Like, number one, when I was at Spotify and at SiriusXM, it was a lot of talented young DJ producers, whether it be like bedroom producers that hadn't got an agent yet, or like DJs, that wanted to start producing and stuff like this. Their main concern was always getting on labels, and like the big three not giving them time of day. So I thought that it was just, such a sad part of the industry, is that it takes so much to, it's necessary also to kind of get your stripes, and like you guys did, get in early. But I just saw that, so I wanted to make that easier. So I expressed to Ricardo and said, hey, like, or Ricard, there's so many DJs that send music, and like that's such an issue, is like how do they get in with labels? And that's such an odd thing to me, because, you know, like labels have on staff people that are supposed to go and search out these talents. So I don't know. I just thought I was in the right place at the right time, and thought of, you know, let's call it to be discovered, TBD. Kind of off the cuff thought of that with Ricard, and here we are. So
No,
Nice.
it's awesome, and congrats. I was
Thanks.
with our collective mutual friend Tommy Sunshine the other night, and he brought it up, and he's like, "Yeah, all the music coming out. Like, I've never heard of any of these people." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's the point. Like, that's the point
Right.
of the label, is because Austin knows everybody, and he could probably get records from anybody. But it's dope that you're going out of your way to find people from the live stream, obviously, and then just other places. Where are you discovering people aside from Dope or Nope? Like, are you just kind of keeping your eye on, I don't know, what other DJs are posting, track IDs and stuff? Or are you going on SoundCloud? Like, what's the main means of discovery?
it is a combination of things. It's the good old trusty Google form that I've had since XM, still alive and kicking. And that was a lot of issue. That's where I saw in the notes of a lot of those demos or finished records back in the day. I was like, this is independent because, and they'd list off their rants about labels saying no, or trying to change their record, trying to change their creative. So it's from the form, and it's from DMs, a lot of DMs of, hey, I saw you have your radio show. Can you check this music out? So it's a combination of those two.
Nice.
Yeah. It's
Radio Dave's in
interesting.
the building, by the way. Good old
The-
Radio Dave is here.
Yeah.
Yo.
The whole like conversation around, you know, like labels sort of critiquing artists' work. It's like I don't know what the right term for it. It's not a catch-22, but it's the sort of thing like, yes, the labels know what they're doing, obviously, because they've had a lot of success. They have a lot of experience. These A&Rs hear hundreds of records a week. But they also don't have time to go through every demo and really give it a shot, to like listen through and maybe give like, you know, I think this is really good, but if you think about it in this context, maybe it would fit better, whatever. It like, usually they just have time for a yes or no, or not good enough. And that's the sort of feedback that doesn't really help a producer grow. So it's nice that there's a lot of labels, and now yours, that can sort of like cater to these up and comers and get them some momentum going, because that's really the hardest part as an artist that's just starting out, is that initial momentum. And once you have that, then you can build DJ support, or, you know, presence on DSPs and that kind of stuff. But just getting the ball rolling is the most difficult, for sure. So are you doing like on TBD, are you going to try to release, say an artist releases on the label, would you hope that they do multiple releases on the label, or hope that they move on from there? Sorry, I'll take the guys are here. I'll let Nick take the answer. I'll be right back.
What's that?
Oh yeah, Danny's
I did, yeah.
did he
Sure.
mute his mic is the question.
Yep.
Sorry.
Thanks.
Danny is having a new piano. Oh, nice.
Cheers.
Mug Life.
Mm-hmm.
Bring it back to Mug Life. Danny has a piano coming from his parents' house. His parents are moving, but he got like his childhood piano back into his house, so they're moving in. Shout out to Jay Dobby. I'll do a couple quick shout outs while we're here. Fame Sounds is here. Mike Bond, our good old Mike Bond with the Aoki record.
Yeah.
Love it.
It's fire.
We'll talk about that today, I'm sure. And of course, DJ Spawn Armad, big shout out for coming through the Fried Fam event last night. I don't remember what Danny's question was exactly.
Well, I wanted to addendum it, if that's possible.
Go for it.
Yeah, I think he was alluding to the fact that it's kind of a catch-22, both the pleasure and the pain of releasing your own music, or just being in a place of an artist, and, you know, trying to get eyes on your precious babies. And then I started to think like how amazing it is that like technology and the ability to not only produce but also release and grow your own audience on your own channels, like how funny is it that it's gotten more difficult to both gain success and an audience without
Well, it's
jumping
just
through the hoops?
yeah, well, agreed, but I mean, there's so much more opportunity now to do it, but because of there being so much more opportunity, there's so many more people doing it, and there's so much more music out. So you could make the argument that there's not as much opportunity because you're in a vast sea of content that you're competing with, even though there's more channels to make things happen in. But I think, I mean, we lean towards the idea that there is way more opportunity. I think there's more people in music that have careers now than ever in history, even compared to like 20 years ago. There's more artists that are able to make a like viable career, not only as artists, but like we do with mixing and mastering and production and curation. And I think like you were kind of way ahead of your time with how you did curation at Spotify. You were almost like an influencer of sorts. And I don't know if that was like an intentional decision or it was just kind of how it happened. But like you were the guy, and like it was a powerful position to be in, but it was super cool because you made definitive changes at Spotify to push dance music forward on that platform that I don't know if that would have happened for a startup. Like if you look at some of the comparable DSPs, it took them a little while to catch up with dance music and what was
I
happening
hadn't been paying
at
attention.
Spotify.
Is that true?
For sure. Absolutely. And I mean, just to your credit, like you really took the bull by the horns, and we saw like what you did on the inside to like create brands like Mint and Crate Diggers and like make this genre a priority. So
Thanks,
props
man.
to you, sir.
Thank you so much. To that end, Robbie Engel just celebrated 5 years at Apple yesterday, which is
Let's
really
give
cool
him
to
the
see.
bomb.
Love it. He's working his tail off over there.
Yeah, like he's been in the culture for so long, and then when he got that position, I don't know when he started versus when you started, but I think you started at Spotify before he started at Apple, right?
Yep, I did 5 years. So, I guess he started in 2017, 2018, something like that.
Yeah, and like
because-
what he was able to do with creating brands at Apple that like, and the DJ mixes they started doing and pushing that stuff forward. It's just nice to have like champions of our culture enmeshed in what's going on at the platforms. And I think you were clearly one of the first to do it and early in Spotify's trajectory as like the definitive streaming service. So
Thanks, man.
yeah, just give, props to you for doing it. But on that note, like when you see artists now, and I guess back to Danny's original question, when you see artists now that are new and coming up, clearly like we're in a different world than we were in just a few years ago when you were there. Like, what are your main strategies for them? Like, where do you see them breaking and like actually cutting through and getting that first look, like Danny was saying?
I hate to say it because everyone says it, but TikTok. Reels.
Yeah.
Maybe even Facebook. I see a lot of people going back to Facebook after taking a break.
That's interesting.
Especially in our demo, especially like 30-year-olds. I don't know. I think just being creative in general, with not obviously the production or the song being creative, but also the way you promote it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like you can't say the words typically, like promo or track or release date. Like any of those words in an email don't pop as much as they used to. So you got to be creative and say like, I made a brand new cake. Maybe Bond can say that when he puts out that Aoki record, or like I made a muffin, or check out my blueberry muffin, and tie it to an image or a video of the song. What else? I was just having this discussion about NFTs today, where like maybe spatial integrating like higher than normal def spatial audio into NFTs could be the next thing, because that I would actually pay money for as an audio file. And I know there's a lot of audio files in dance, so maybe like 360 video inside an NFT. and then release that music later.
Some of the
Why?
things Zuckerberg's been talking about to that point has been Facebook's focus on metaverse and specifically like haptics. So like when you're in a metaverse experience, you'll be able to feel, if you're in a club experience in the metaverse, you could feel people brushing up against you with wearable haptics and stuff like that. So that kind of brings up the idea that I've like talked to some tech companies about, where you'll be able to throw certain instruments to different parts of your body. So you'll feel them in different ways than you would feel them normally. So like normally a subwoofer, you're going to kind of feel that in your gut, like in the car, right? That's kind of, and like those sub packs like attached to your back, like you feel it kind of in your core. But like, what if you were able to change where that resonated in your body? Or in a virtual experience, you were able to enhance that through wearable technology. That's kind of like where I'm looking into and seeing like who's going to be the leader there. And I think like brands like Apple and Facebook are going to push that all forward. And then there's going to be a bunch of startups that try different things, and a few of them will get acquired. But overall, I think it's going to be really interesting what happens over the like next 5 to 10 years in that space.
Aren't you supposed to feel the bass in your core though? Because that's the only mass of your body that could withstand a 60 dB, 60 hertz blast, right?
Maybe.
I remember the sub pack. I was just thinking about this yesterday, how cool that was to have the sub pack. Somebody brought it to the Spotify office, and I made a little video, and I got, coworkers to try it on, and it just, everybody lit up when they heard that the drop come in. And
Yeah, like aside from the bass, Spawn said 60 hertz to the balls. It could happen. But even with like music therapy, when that's a real thing. Like they've done many studies on that, and if you're able to target a certain body part or internal organ with frequency, even if it's not music but frequency, I think that's where that stuff gets really interesting. And I think that there's going to be a big push for it in the next 5 to 10 years. So if you're not up on that stuff, I'm just going to pretend you heard it here first on Finish My Track. And that's what it is.
But
is
can
there
you hear
anything...
bass in the face? Like, wouldn't that ruin your organs? Like
I'm not even just saying bass. I mean, like any
Yeah.
fundamental frequency that's found to be like healing or aligns with that organ, right? Because every organ has some sort of frequency that it operates on. And there's like crazy studies being done right now about all this stuff. So music therapy has always been a thing. They know like certain tones resonate with certain organs, but when you're able to like do that with haptics in the metaverse, it just takes it up to a different level. So
I heard that 440 hertz resonates with your soul.
Yeah, that's one of them, but 440 is kind of like man-made tuning. So hang on, I'm gonna bring up some stats real quick. So
I'm gonna turn the
430
AC on.
they say, so this was what I was reading a long time ago. 432 hertz is said to be like the real tuning, and tune music, which we all know now, man-made tuning, went to 440. And I think that was during the classical era. I don't want to get into the weeds of this too much because I do want to give some advice to artists, but 432 is said to be more aligned with us spiritually and where our bodies really resonate.
Wow.
And 440 is actually like a rub on like where we should be. So
Meaning like it's false?
Yeah.
And it was
not
put
false,
out.
but it's not aligned with where we actually sit, which would be 432. And if you hear music at 432, like specific frequencies and stuff, they actually do feel nicer. Like
Really?
they feel cooler, and they're a little easier on your body and on your ears. Because I've done a bunch of like A B, and it's pretty interesting. So anyway, you guys have fun going down that rabbit hole.
Nick, what don't you do? I mean, you
Listen.
brew beers. You've been to the Sopranos house. Like, tell me something else. I don't.
I get bored of doing the same thing all the time. Yeah, Radio Dave said it feels warmer. It does. Mike Bond said, I heard this. Disney played with us. It's false and it gets chaotic. Yep. Anyway, so with TBD, I could see the challenge being like, because these are new artists, they don't necessarily have a story yet for you to like go to retail and pitch them a certain way. Like, how are you navigating some of those challenges?
Well, I'm not really focused on mass consumption. I'm more focused on starting their journey, like giving them this as the initial platform. And of course I integrate their tracks I like, first of all. And then, then I integrate it into my radio show, because that's what I've been doing on Unreleased, is making sure that it's an interesting piece that you might not hear elsewhere, and let the artists speak about why or how they made the track themselves. Because humble opinion, we don't hear enough of that. We hear the music, of course, we hear the hooks, but we never hear, and we hear people on TikTok redoing it in their versions, but it's tough to find stories on why this particular song was written or produced. So that was my goal with the radio show, and now I can fold in the label into the radio show every couple of weeks and say, like, pinpoint this record, check this out. This is the actual story of the artist. Give them a follow, go check it out. So
That's
I'm not
awesome.
necessarily saying like trying to get an end cap at Target or Walmart with each release, but hopefully they have that in their future on a different label.
Yeah, and there's something about being the first or like one of the early adopters of an artist that's just an awesome thing for the artist to have you as a champion. They'll forever be connected to you. But then, you're able to it kind of speaks to you as like a curator and somebody who's ahead of the curve, where you're able to be part of that story across multiple artists. And you don't know which one's going to be like the unicorn, but maybe a bunch of them do go on to do huge stuff. And again, like, they're forever connected to you, and you had the foresight to put them on early. So we have a similar approach with Liftoff, and like, I've always loved that part of it. Like, when somebody goes and does a major deal, whether or not I agree with the terms are one thing, but it's still like, hey, you got a major label deal and we were the first to put out your record. Like, that's amazing, man. Like, you can't put a price tag on that. So, again, like, it's cool that you keep like reinventing like who you are in the industry, but you're definitely like pushing things forward, which I love. So, and I
Thanks,
know everybody
man.
appreciates that.
I appreciate you saying that. I like your guys' short clip of the day, or what do you call it?
The sound bites of the day.
Soundbite of the day. That's such a like old school meets new school, because people are like, what are sound bites? But back in the day, they were crucial parts of any promo.
One of the guys on Instagram came up with that because bites, like bites of fries.
See, that's why I'm slow. Okay, I'm not this progressive fellow that starts businesses. I am more so a very slow to connect person. It takes me a lot to understand catchphrases like that. But
No, I love the double meaning of it. Oddly enough, like, what I'll do is put out something on Twitter, and then I usually repurpose the tweet and make it into a little bit longer form video for the soundbite. So, one, if you're an artist trying to repurpose content, that's one way to do it, is like, your tweets can be gold, and you just have to turn them into videos. It's fairly easy to do. But what has been interesting is like seeing the reach of Reels on Instagram versus regular posts, and how the algorithm throttles regular posts versus Reels. It's also been interesting to see like what resonates on Reels versus TikTok, posting the same content on both platforms, what hashtags work better on one versus the other. So it's kind of been an experiment in like what's going to resonate the right way. The other thing I found is locally, my Reels mainly TikTok, has been popping up for people locally, because I know the guy at the pizzeria, I know the guy at the coffee shop locally. I have family and stuff, and they'll be like, "Yo, I literally scrolled through like 7 videos of you on TikTok," and we don't have a big TikTok presence at all. We barely have anything there, but they must be geographically targeting some stuff too.
That's cool.
So it's been a good experiment and all that.
You're like the Tony Soprano of EDM.
That is probably
Tell me that's not true.
That is a terrible person to be.
No, not his actual his sins. The way he was sociable, everyone knew Tony. That's you in Jersey.
I'll take the good side of that, and I won't take any of the sociopathic side of that.
I'm waiting nervously when he comes into the shop. Did you hear the new? What's the name of the new song? His wife looks up the song. No, it's called Jump Jump Jump. Oh, Nick, great seeing you, man. Jump Jump Jump. I loved it. I listened to it 10 times last night. Nick walks in.
Domenico said Nick secretly loved that. I can't lie. I'll take it. But,
it was a compliment.
Yeah, I mean, like, we did a photo shoot last week. Everywhere we went, I knew somebody. It was great. It made our lives easier. We were able to do some photos in a bunch of locations for that reason. So I will talk to a wall, and it drives my wife insane. So I'll just leave it at that.
So I tried watching while this was all going down, and if I were to sum it up, I heard Tony Soprano of EDM. I heard 432 Hearts is the money spot, and Mark Zuckerberg trying to vibrate your body. Is that?
But also, do you have a baby grand at your house?
It's an upright. It's an upright. I don't got room for a baby grand. So upright, for people that don't know, that's like the flat back, not the where the lid lifts up and it looks all fancy. But yeah, childhood piano. That's what I learned. I don't know what the first thing I learned was, but I learned it on there.
Did you do the Suzuki method?
Awesome. I did, yeah. I don't really remember it, but my mom tells me that all the time and says that that's why I'm a musician today. So I'll give credit to Suzuki.
No, I mean, the Suzuki method is like, that's the one, man. Because I had a very brief stint with like giving piano lessons when I was way younger.
Yeah. Like
late teens, I would like try to teach kids piano. No, terrible job. Like, God bless anybody who does that. But Suzuki method works.
It's mostly like listening based or something, right? It's not like you're not learning music notation and getting into all that. You're just like listening for the most part.
Part of it's that, but part of it's like repeating phrases, left hand, right hand. So there's a bunch of different things to it, but yeah, like the whole idea of like a counter line, but like separated. So like you do like a scale that goes up and then a scale that goes down with the other hand, and you do them separately, and like learning how those things interact.
Spawn coming through with the resources. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. I don't know what Suzuki is. I had a teacher in Tennessee, and she was of blood, a descendant of Bach.
Ooh.
Back in the day.
That's insane.
JS. Box.
JS. Yeah, that's what the family called him anyway.
Old JS. Can we talk about your post, though? Your audio bite of the day?
Soundbite.
Soundbite, yeah. So I'm trying to kind of configure this in my brain. You say, it's better to have a bunch of flops than a smash rather than a smash quick and a ton of flops. You'll learn how to fail and get better. I love that. It'll feel exponentially more rewarding, and you'll learn...
Making sure you're quoting me right here.
You'll learn how to win and get better at winning. It's kinder on your brain in the macro. I love that, but I did have a question. Like, what if you're an emerging artist, and all your friends are telling you, your manager, you're brand new, you have less than 2,000 monthly listeners on Spotify with a couple records you put out just for testers a few years back, and you'd been working on this one song. It's been your glory, to get this song perfect. So you've been working on it forever, and your audience is small. And everyone says, this is the hit, this is the hit, this is the hit.
Are you working on I need more context. Are you working on a bunch of other records, or are you only working on this one record?
I have 10 other records, but out of the batch, everyone unanimously says, you poll like 100, 200 people, and they all say this is the hit. What do you do? In relation to your post, if it's the smash, do you put the smash out with that existing audience, or do you
Yes.
feather first?
Just go. Just go.
So what do you?
Huh.
Okay,
Like-
then what?
Get the next record out.
Yeah,
Because
but
here's the
I think
thing.
what Austin's saying is like, would you want to lead with the smash, knowing like you've been working on other tracks and haven't come up with anything of that caliber, knowing that it's going to be a struggle to get that follow up? You just go balls to the wall anyway and get the smash out right now, and then figure out afterwards.
What are you gonna do? Keep sitting around playing with more records like
Well, you have
forever?
different. Well,
'Cause
you
you're never
have
gonna know
different
who
style.
Yeah, but you're never gonna know who your audience really is. You're never gonna know what is actually gonna react in the market. Like aside from those 200 people, you just gotta like keep going, testing. Like this might work, this might not. Look at Todd Stuckey, right? Todd Stuckey makes amazing videos on Instagram and amazing music. He has not hit yet on Instagram, but he will, right? Like his videos will hit. But if he just kept making videos and he didn't know what was funny and what wasn't funny, once he does hit, now at least he's like, all right, cool. Like I know this worked, this didn't work. I'm like educated on what's going to happen or what could happen with certain videos, and it informs his next decision. But if he waited, like you have no information to kind of perpetuate the snowball down the mountain. That's at least my thought on it.
I like that. Yeah. So you go out banging. First one.
I think, yeah. So to play devil's advocate, I think that what you're saying is true. If you have like a smash record, don't hold back. But you do need to have. It's so confusing because it's like you need to be ready to follow that up, but you also can't go into it thinking, "Oh, I have a smash. Everyone I played it to says it's a smash, so that means I'm going to put it out, and tomorrow it's going to be a smash." Because that's not how it works. Chances are it's going to you're still going to have to focus a ton of energy building the story on it, making sure people hear it, and it's probably going to take a while unless it goes on like TikTok and goes viral there. Then it can happen super quickly.
But that's a lottery ticket in some ways.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, in general, like I would agree with you, Nick, that just go with it. But I think the more you are aware of what's going to follow or being prepared for what follows is really like the most important thing. Not necessarily being ready, but knowing what you're going to need instead of trying to figure it out after the fact. And any new artist should always be thinking that, like, what are you working on today, but what do you want to be doing in a year, and what's involved in where you want to be in a year? Do you need to have a bigger team? Do you need to offload some of the stuff that you're currently doing, like managing your social media or your bookings or whatever, that kind of stuff? Like, start thinking ahead, but at the same time, you don't have to worry about any of that stuff until it's happening.
Yeah, people try and kind of plan out.
Tanny gets the bomb on that.
We did that a lot, like try to plan ahead, like, oh, this record, and so we got to have like the music video, and let's get that knocked out before, and then we're gonna, I don't know, like once so and so picks it up, then we're gonna do this, and then usually the ones that we think all that stuff through, nothing happens with it, and
Right.
we could have like thought about it, kind of been ready to roll if it gained momentum, but for sure, like no matter how long you've been in the business, it's very, very hard to predict how your music's gonna be received.
DJ Adriana _line. My good promo email is, everyone asks me this. It's in the email link in my Instagram. It's always been there. It's just
Makes it easy.
kramerbpm@gmail.
Hess talked
thank
about
you.
this. Hess and I talked about this at length, and he's like, "Dude, I'm like the head of marketing. I come up with this extensive marketing plan for a record. You know what happens when the record comes out? I throw it out the window based on everything that's going on around it, because everything going on around the record ends up dictating what we're gonna do. So like he's prepared if nothing's happening, and he's like, all right, I'm gonna take the bull by the horns, and this is what we're gonna do. But typically, record comes out, there's some stuff going on with it, and then he makes decisions on what's gonna happen next based on that playlist. This radio station picked it up right away, et cetera, et cetera. But it was interesting to hear him say, like, he gets a plan together, and essentially, like, the whole plan gets thrown away, and he does a new plan once it's out.
Yeah, and that kind of this new theory I'm fleshing out. Is it true with you guys when you have okay, first, how many tracks are you sitting on right now with Disco Fries as the main artist?
Not many. There's ideas. There's a few, but not many.
But we don't have anything like scheduled.
Yeah.
So, okay, if you have multiple records and you choose one, like you were leading down that path with the label or whatever release plan, would you say that, like, just because it's the newest one you made and you're just your soul is in it and you've been sitting with it, you've been listening to it on repeat and just tuning all the pieces of it, do you think that you're more apt to like be engaged with promo than say a record that was in the can, ready to go and delivered, but just got held up with say COVID or something like this, and 2 years later we're looking at a release date?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
it's really tough. Unless the only exception I would say to that is if it's a record that we then get the opportunity to play out live and it's reacting, that can give you a lot of energy and motivation to then push back into the song. Because we have had records like that, I feel like, where, say we released it, take Family Affair, for example, was more of like a club record. So we released that and then continued doing other releases that were a little more vocal, maybe like radio focused. But the Family Affair thing, we were playing out live and reacting really well. And then it started getting added to playlists and sort of like growing. And then it was easy to, like, for us personally to continue to push into it because there was still a lot of like life to it from playing it out. But it can be really tricky if something comes out. A lot of times all it takes though is for us to like jump back in, maybe tweak it a little bit, like freshen it up so that in our minds it's like now it sounds fresher or less dated than it did when it was sitting on the shelf for 6 months or whatever. But we haven't had to deal with a whole lot of that, have we, Nick?
Not that much. I'm trying to think if there's specific examples with Family Affair too. Like when something starts react for me, like when I see something like reacting, all right, we're getting like really dope looks at radio or really dope playlists. It just gets me excited about the song again.
Right.
Like from because like you get tired of hearing the same record after a while. That's natural, right? But like if I see it's getting looks and people are like psyched about it, then I'm excited about it again. And so with Family Affair, that started to happen, like Danny was saying, and then the Super Bowl rolled around, and so I hit spin and I was like, this is still working, like it's still killing. Can you reactivate based on Mary J performing at the Super Bowl? Like, what can we do? They got a remix. I hit them, and I swear to God, a day later, a remix arrived in our email. It was insane.
Wow.
And that was the Hawk and Beige mix, and now that's going to hit 1 million streams shortly. But, like, that was a slow climb. So they put that out. They got a couple little looks just based on it being, like, around Super Bowl time. And then, like, nothing really happened, and it was a slow burn. And now it's doing well. But you don't really know, like, when that's going to happen either.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we've had records just... No, I was just going to say, we've had records that come out, they do nothing, and then, like, 2 years later, we're like, why did our monthly listeners pick up like crazy? Yeah. And it'll be something deep in the catalog that got picked up somewhere, and it's doing a bunch, which is kind of cool.
But like a DJ, that excites you when a re-engagement occurs, and you start to almost do the same as a response. Yeah. But like, would you say that boredom with hearing a record over and over and like just losing your attraction to it, do you think that is a natural occurrence, or do you think that is evolutionary with our society getting pumped with media every which way nowadays, so everyone's attention span is far less than it used to be, which I don't know is fact, but I just hear that is the studies, is that like people can't sit and watch a 20-minute sitcom anymore as 20 years they could.
Yeah, I don't know.
Good point.
It sort of depends. I feel like the only times we try to make sure that anything that we put out, we really can stand behind, to the point where we can listen to it. I mean, we have releases that we put out 8 years ago that I still listen to and still love what we did. And like, I don't think anyone else probably cares at this point, but I still get excited about it.
That's
we try
cool.
to do that as much as possible. The only thing that gets tricky is if you've gone really far in a direction, like say, we made some records that were like Melbourne bounce sort of, whereas maybe that's not as relevant now as it was at the time. And if the genre has sort of been like oversaturated and died a little bit, then maybe I could understand more like not having the same affinity for it that you did before. But hopefully the vocal still resonates with you, or the like underlying melodies, harmony do, and then
Or the
all it takes is,
nostalgia
like,
of it.
or yeah, no, that's true too, because you can still listen to like, I don't know, any of that like early 2000s like I don't know, Listen to Your Heart, Every Time We Touch, any of that kind of stuff. That sounds dated as hell, but there's something about it that it's not going to get old for me anyway.
Yeah, no, there's records that we've made that I'm like, I'm almost disconnected from the sound of the record and more married to like, oh, I remember when we made this record, and like that whole component to like what it triggers is why I love it. And like, obviously I like the song, but like what it triggers a certain memory about making it, and like where we were or where we played it the first time, and like the memories around that are what are, I don't know, that's what's appealing maybe about the song. So,
And that feeds into the amazing theory, I guess, still, that sense of sound and song and of smell are our two most nostalgic triggers, which is amazing.
For sure. No, the other week I went for a jog, and I forgot I'd made these playlists in Spotify called High School and College, and I made them like when I first signed up for Spotify, however long ago that was, and I just threw in like every record I could think of that I played. And as I was going and listening to these songs, they were triggering like specific memories, not like general feelings of like, oh, I used to listen to this song, like, oh, I remember hearing this in the car on the way to this concert, or I was hanging out with these people. So it's crazy how that stuff triggers feelings and memories. And I think that's a universal thing, probably more so in some people than others, but for sure, I think those are strong.
We're gonna
like,
need
mediums.
those playlist links. I'm sure everybody wants them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, I'll make them. I'll have to make them public. I'll find them.
Oh, I got a
If you
question.
want those, drop it in the chat if you want those, or throw some hearts on Instagram, please.
Yeah.
And also in the chat, let us know, like, when you make a playlist, what's it based on? Is it based on a time period, like Danny's talking about, like memory, or even like current day? I was drilling my wife this morning, like, why do you have a early 2022 list and a late 2021 playlist? Like, don't you get confused? And she's like, yes, but only send me stuff I can only go and choose stuff that's based on genre. So it's like, it's reverse engineering. I was like, so you like things mixed genre, but you can only discover them when they're in groups of their own genre. So like, I'm wondering, how do most people build their playlists? To me, it's a mixture, but a lot of people I meet, it's based on time too. Like, is it an
So
era
in
thing?
the chat, Spawn said a mood. Somebody asked PRXZ. I don't know. How did you pronounce that?
Briggs.
Briggs music. Do you think it's more about lyrics or the melody music? For me, like, it's never about lyrics.
Which is unfortunate, because I'm the exact same way, and so I can't tell you how many records we've done where like we work with the top liner and they've put a lot of thought and feelings into the top line, and I don't know the words because I'm so focused on the melody that they made and less so what they're saying. But if we had a little more balance, that'd be cool.
Oh, he said it's Prism. Okay, that
But
helps.
going back
Oh,
to the
sorry.
playlist thing, I feel like, yeah, it sort of depends. Like, we've made playlists, like, I don't know, I'll have playlists for workouts, for if you want to be hanging out at a campfire summer night, something like that. So, like, mood for sure, but then there's times where I want to go back to, like, oh, I remember this one summer, all of these records came out, and it'd be cool to just sort of, like, immerse myself in that specific time. So I think it's a mix of both for sure.
Domenico said, ask anyone what their favorite song is, then ask them why. 95% of the time, they'll say it's the lyrics.
That's not
And
it for me.
I don't know. I've asked many people that maybe they say they remember it from one specific lyric. They remember like the hook, or they remember like that tag that's like the memorable part. But I don't know that that's why that's their favorite song. I think they don't realize that it's the underlying composition.
I don't know. What do you say, Austin?
Lyrics are important, but I'm usually drawn by the chords, by the melody. And then, I don't know, like Coldplay to me is very much lyrical. Maybe a lot of indie tunes, rock tunes got me with lyrics. But with dance, it's usually like the drop and the soaring melodies and the type of synths that they have. But lyrics are important. Speaking of which, you guys should do a record with Lorenza Baby in the chat. She's a unsung up and coming lyricist. She's great.
Oh, nice. Yeah, we'll check it out.
Mike Bond said, I was listening to Black Eyed Peas song on a bike yesterday looking at the moon, and it threw me into 2006. I was so happy. I didn't want to leave the bike. Nostalgia.
But see, Black Eyed Peas 2000, well, I guess not 2006. It would have been later, like 2010.
Those lyrics, bro,
I got
they're
a
so
feeling,
deep.
only makes me have a feeling about mobile DJ gigs and playing weddings. That's literally all it triggers in my head.
I got a feeling I want to turn this song off.
Yes. And which is a shame, because it is, I mean, like, hard to top, like, how much like happiness is in that song, but but yeah, for me it's just it's cemented in that one time. It is, I thinking about like just sort of like the way the melodies make you feel and how they stick with you. I don't know, are you guys in the same boat? I can remember like guitar solos, when guitar solos were like in every song, like 70s, 80s, 90s rock. It's crazy to me how much I'll remember like every little inflection of a guitar solo, but I won't remember the name of the song or any of the lyrics or anything. And but again, maybe that's more what my ear is drawn to versus anything about the song itself.
Right, your personal preference.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Wow, a lot of comments flying in. Van Halen specifically, yeah, agree.
Van Halen, sure.
Aerosmith,
Guns N' Roses. I mean, goes on and on. Even I listen to a lot of Weezer, and even like they'd be short, like little 8-bar solos, and still like I don't know, something about them just sticks with me.
Do you remember the In the Garage
Domenico,
song?
one of my favorite songs.
I love that song. That one was the best to play. Like I'd throw on. I had like a big amp, and I'd go in the basement and turn the amp up, and then like also put it in headphones, so it would be like I'd get the vibrations from the amp, and I'd hear it extra loud in my head. And then play along to that song.
Your parents were like,
yeah,
pounding on the floor.
Yeah, just power chords for hours.
Domenico said, "Isn't my favorite song My Way?" Yeah, it is one of my favorite songs, but melodically, it's just a fucking amazing song. Lyrics don't hurt it because the lyrics are awesome. Prism said, "This is an interesting one. Are we entering an era in the music where there's no classics like all the mid-2000 hits?" I would argue that there are classics in the mid-2000s, but just because of the quantity of music that's coming out, are we entering a place where there might not be classics? I
love that theory.
That is interesting.
We talked about this.
Because is there a difference between classics and like hits that'll be around for years? Like something about the terminology. Like I don't know. Like
Do It To It, is that going to be a classic, or is that going to be like the hit from that year? Does that make any sense? Is there a difference in the word in there?
I think
think
that is
so.
going to be the first, known as the first of many to come, of remakes or reinterpretations of late 2000s R&B hooks.
So
Maybe.
then, in the same way that, I don't know, I brought up Every Time We Touch is one of the most memorable of that, like, I don't know what that would be called, happy dance, like, kind of,
Cascadas?
yeah, like, in my mind, that's a classic. Give it 15 years, would Do It To It be a classic
Oh,
because of the memories that it triggers for people, or, what it meant at the time, sort of.
I don't think there is like a hit per se like there used to. I think everyone's definition of a hit is a little jimble jambled because back in the day the media was like linear and you only had and they chose all the rotations and the
Yep.
and the amount of time you heard it. That's why I think like true hits or whatever boomers down to millennials think are hits are they're gonna move with us with time. Um, just because we've heard it on repetition so many times, and to compare them musically is really tough. Like how do you compare something that had a megaphone, and like back in the day when presidents spoke on AM radio, um, like they had a different relationship with that politician because they would sit like a story time telling and they'd be just glued to whatever came out of that AM radio, and then we slowly been getting away from that connection to whatever the host was saying out of their um, like Howard Stern, like those days are over.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as that. Maybe Rogan, but even he's broken up between different crowds, so you can't really have a
So
hit.
I'm thinking of this too in the sense of like, I don't know, think back in like whatever it was, the 50s or something, when you would have TV shows and like you said, maybe there were only 3 networks that you could watch. So that meant everyone was focused on those and everyone watched I Love Lucy or The Brady Bunch or Gilligan's Island, whatever it was. Now it's so spread out that it seems like there's not hits, but there's still, you have your Squid Games or your Sopranos or Game of Thrones, like you still have them and there's probably just as many, but it seems more diluted. Or do you think something about it still takes away, like those can never be considered classic or as
No, I think to your
influential?
first point, those things still exist. It just seems diluted because there's so much other noise.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, Yellowstone's an amazing show, which it is, and it'll probably be a classic because it hasn't been done in that way. Like there hasn't been a Sopranos in Yellowstone, and that's that thing.
Yeah.
But there's also whatever, The Staircase, there's this show, that show, like there's so many other things that compete with it, but I don't think that dilutes the fact that that's a great show.
No.
And people in 15 years will still go back to watch it the
Yeah.
same way they go back and watch Mad Men and Breaking
Yeah.
Bad.
A lot of shows
etc.
I've come back, I've like watched for the first time long after they ended. I like Domenico pointed out Something in the Way by Nirvana blew up again out of nowhere after Batman, or now you've got the Kate Bush song that you can't get away from because of Stranger Things. It is interesting how those things will come back and have these like second or sometimes third lives. So I don't know, maybe that's what makes something a classic, something that can like stand the test of time and like work in a completely different era from when it was
I
first
also
came
wonder
out.
how much genre plays into it. Like I'm thinking about Little John and Usher, is clearly a classic now because it was like a definitive song of a certain time. It still gets played.
I gotta
So it's
leave the
played
club when that
I-
comes on.
No, but it is a classic record. But Little John also had From the Window to the Wall. He had tons of other records that were like super hip hop, but that one was like the definitive one that crossed into pop. So is that part of this whole thing? Like Avicii Wake Me Up, you could make the argument that like Levels is a classic. There's other records that Avicii did that were classics, maybe, but they were hits. But the record that crossed into pop was Wake Me Up. Like that was like an undeniable crossover worldwide event sounds good. So is that part of it too? Like once it crosses into that pop genre and it's like everybody, your mom knows it.
Yeah.
Once your mom knows it, is that the metric? Your mom knows it.
Yeah.
Spans
but
generations. Yeah.
that is a true metric. But I still have a question to your what you said, because you're saying that we still have grade A hits, but we just have more because we have more sects of communities and bubbles of what media they can consume.
We have sex in communities. We do have sex in communities,
But
but
the
we
sound,
also
or it's also Brandon Mintz. Yes, there is so much talent. That's what I'm saying. Like there's so much content.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we
I
had
think
to
like
divide.
right. I think you still have like if you think of it in terms of like I don't know, something's a success, and if you were to put a metric on it and there was like a peak of how successful it was, we have successes now that reach the same peaks that songs did in the past, but then there's the floor is so much lower. Like before in the 90s with rock music, like I don't know, of stuff that went on the radio, like on rock radio, maybe 10% of those went on to be hits that like everybody knew or something. Whereas now in dance music, there's probably just as many hits, but compared to the rest of the music, it's like point whatever, like 1% of the hits in dance music go on to become global, everybody knows them kind of things.
So not
Yeah.
only do we have that working against us, we also have the fact that EDM is not in the mainstream like it was 10 years ago
Yeah.
too. So there's
Right.
two aspects where it's it's more difficult.
Yeah, but I think in you saying that, I also think there's a positive spin to it because there are, since people have sort of divided into like they're really into whatever they're into, there are so many options. You can still find a really solid audience just staying within that silo. Your goal doesn't necessarily need to be like the broad spectrum everyone thing. Like you can totally make a living, make the art that you want, be a happy person, and just stay within that one community. And in some ways, probably some artists that have had like the big success sort of wish they were still in that small community. Like look at I don't know, like Zed probably, and this is totally me like projecting, just maybe sort of like saying how I might feel in this situation. He was making like all this cool electro music, Slam the Door, what's the first one he did with Matthew Koma, Spectrum.
Yeah.
And then he gets stuff like The Middle, and now he's sort of like stuck in that, well, now I have to make pop music that everyone's gonna like, and now he goes back to that most recent one he did with Garrix, which is kind of like back in that darker, harder hitting world. And like I'm sure that's something that just sort of happened organically, like right place, right time. He's a talented producer, connected with talented people that sort of opened him up to the world. But who knows if he would have been just as happy or happier if he had just like stayed in the specifically dance music lane and just been like the king there. That's totally
that's
me like throwing an idea out and not
No,
saying
that's
how he feels
interesting.
about it, but
I was gonna say
That's
Calvin Harris, like Domenico
yeah.
says.
Calvin Harris is
'Cause he just got
great
added.
example.
You know, he's on all the freaking playlists. Like,
By the way,
Yeah.
this is a good opportunity to plug Domenico. He's got a record out called Face off his next EP, and you guys should go check it out.
yes.
You want to like zone out? It's a great
how do
record
you
to
spell
zone
it?
out to.
Domin,
Do men Ico.
do, men.
That's how
I
the sales
co.
guys pronounce it when they call his phone.
Yeah,
He's working with.
Domenico. We
is he
have
in
a
New York?
deal for you.
he is. Yes.
This is a really interesting topic.
This this feels like a conversation I would like smoke with my friends in high school, and then we just talk about the meaning of life, except just like the music version of it. I like
What
it.
sucks about that is because I forgot all those conversations because my mind was on drugs like an idiot.
Yes, right.
Pot is such a stupid thing. Like I can't.
Revolutionary in the moment, and then the next morning nothing.
Then I'm like, oh, what was that?
So, what are you most excited for as far as not necessarily as far as artists, because we can get to that, but maybe just on the tech side of where music is headed and like how labels are evolving and things like that. What are you most excited for on the industry side of music? Because what we do can get a little taxing. So I feel like we all collectively and the Dope or Nope crew are always looking to like, all right, what's the next thing? Where is this headed? Like, what's going to keep this exciting? And that's how we all kind of stay relevant in the space too.
If I knew, I'd be telling you, but I think it's a lot of just hopeful. Like NFTs are not. It's chicken and egg. Like you can't have something on. I think once DSPs can adopt decentralized ownership of music, I think then you have a brand new era. But until then, I think it's just going to be having both apps on your phone, and which sucks because then it's exactly what we're talking about, where people have to divide their time between not only software but hardware, and upload each thing to separate things, and build audiences in those two silos. But I think once they can all come together, but will it be on Spotify? I hope so. I really hope it can be on YouTube and all the popular platforms. But until then, it's going to be even more work for the self-starter producer to make sure that their music gets heard. And that's kind of a philosophy I wanted to talk about too, not to talk your ears off, but like
that's what we're here for. That's what
the
you're
show,
here for.
It's just talking.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, this, like, at what point do we go back to being artists just to make the music and not worry about counts and audience? Because like, do those artists still exist? And they're usually tough people to deal with, but I always had that respect for people that didn't have their press photos or a press person or a release schedule. They're like, just take it. I put the music out and that's what it's going to be. I'm not going to fix it. I'm not going to twist it and turn it how you like it. Like, what happened to those artists? You know what I mean? Like the old Rembrandts or the old physical artists, Clay, like I with media and new platforms, they've seemingly dissolved, and it's all people just chasing streams, unfortunately.
So, I think there should be a difference made. Like, there are those people that are just so innately talented that they are capable of doing that, but they are less than a fraction of a percent. That is such a small percentage of like the artists that are out there. The first person I thought you were talking about was me, because I 100% would make music and then I probably put it up on SoundCloud and it would do nothing because I wouldn't promote it. And then I would stop putting it up on SoundCloud because that felt like too much work, and I would just do it for myself, and then no one would hear it. There is like a minimum amount of effort that needs to be put in on the other side, whether you like it or not. And we touch on this a lot. That's where you need to either make this your job, where it is work. There's everything about work. There's going to be something about it that you don't enjoy doing, but needs to get done. Or you team up with someone that can help on that front, whether that's a manager or a partner that leans more business like Nick does, where like I still help out on business things, but definitely do not carry the weight there that Nick does. And it's because of that people do know our music. So I think unless you are like a once in a generation kind of talent, you absolutely have to put some sort of effort in. Otherwise, no one's going to hear your music. And if you are that once in a generation talent, someone is going to recognize it at some point, and they will want to do all of that work for you to make sure that you get the exposure that you could.
I mean, those are amazing points. And to kind of like further that, like, you'd think the Leonardo da Vinci's and Rembrandts of the world would just put their stuff out and it just happened. But that wasn't the case. Like, people just think that they made these amazing inventions and then like they magically got picked up. These motherfuckers were hustling. They were doing deals with wineries and museums and curating stuff. Like,
Yeah,
It was a
Sonya
different
says
type.
even the classics had patrons.
Yeah, like they were like
Yeah.
all right, even 20 years ago, if you wanted to blow up as a street artist, you did art on the street, but if you went to New York, these guys were on the street and they still are, like hustling that art and selling it and like showing you things that they did in the artwork and why you should buy it. And then they built a following. There's this guy, he's a street artist in New York. He was a drug addict, but he was making like tons of really cool shit. My aunt was buying him. Like all his stuff 25 years ago, right? This guy was, I remember as a kid going with her and he was like strung out every time we went up, but he would take like cool, I don't know, he'd take like a bottle opener and he'd make like a person out of it, but it was like really intricate stuff. So she bought tons of shit. Fast forward to like 3 years ago, we're walking around our town. We go in this art gallery by me. And she's like, holy shit, that's Ron's stuff. I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, that's the guy I bought all that art from 25 years ago when he was a drug addict. This is his stuff. Like, whatever. I got to sit down with this gallery owner and find out the pricing.
Wow.
Anyway, all this stuff was like 20 grand, 30 grand, all of it,
Wow.
like per piece, ridiculous. So she wrote him an email and was like, hey, I see like you're doing really well. I found you in this gallery. And he's like, yeah, I cleaned up, and it happened around the time that I found somebody to like really push my stuff the right way.
Wow.
But it took him like hustling on the street to then get somebody to notice it, to get in a gallery, get legitimized, and then get to that value that he's at now. But it wasn't like he just like left his artwork out and like was magically discovered. There was a layer of work to it that
Can
I
we do
feel
the
like
sound effect?
Yeah, that's a crazy story.
That's a
It
good.
was
That's a
nuts.
good point that people miss. Like you're just breaking down the walls of a fabricated ideal. Is that artists are just, you know, back in the day they did it, you know, dun dun dun, dun, dun. I don't like. I'm thinking about, you know, this theory I have telling you guys this. I'm like, where did I even imagine this? I think it's like in elementary school when they teach you about art and they tell you, they don't tell you the actual truth. Is that, you know, they tell you something that's super sad, and then, or like the suffrage of it, or they tell you, you know, that they just lived a carefree life and didn't care about anything. But now it's like you have to be already, you know, in the top percent of all the, you know, from past works, like Calvin Harris. Only artists like him are afforded that luxury of just, not to say he doesn't deserve it, but like, no, all other artists have to be like teasing this constantly. All he does is just, you know, he has the album ready to go, and then, you know, he gets a billboard and all this stuff, and of course people are clamoring for it because he's proven himself in the past. But like, if you don't have that, self-starting is much harder than it used to be.
Well, it is. So I'm going to touch on this comment from Shafali. She said, for artists like us who are happy just making the music, we need to figure out a more egoless way of telling our story. If people can connect with that, it would feel much better than the selfie in the studio model, which is so hard for some of us.
That's it.
I think I 100% resonate with this. We've touched on it with a bunch of guests on here. Zach Martino was talking about how he's not on TikTok because he doesn't feel comfortable on that platform being like silly or like flashy or whatever people are expecting on that platform. It is a struggle, but I think you need to seek out what does feel genuine, because not everyone, most people have a genuine way of showing their art to the world that is like, that it will come naturally. And just because someone else is like, check out what we just made, or this is how we did this, or here's a bunch of people shuffling to the track, like, there's going to be some way that feels somewhat natural, and there will be barriers to that process. Like, I still wrestle with that all the time. Like, yeah, you don't. The egoless word is what does it for me. Of like, what makes us, or what makes me so special that anyone else should care about this? And it's just you have to like reframe it in your brain that it's not. You're not pushing stuff on people. You're just sharing it. You're not, you're not like making anyone listen to it. You're just hoping that someone else enjoys something that you spent a lot of time on.
Maybe an easier way of saying it, or just to condition that ego, would just to be saying to new producers that it's not a problem that you're promoting. You should be doing it, and not to shy away from it because you're going to be deemed as an ego freak, because ego got a bad rap. Ego is natural. It has to be part of you as a person. It's a personal essence is to have an ego, but people throw the word ego around in a negative fashion. But it's a good thing to have ego. That's what the art is about, is your ego, is you as a person.
Yeah,
So
and there's a difference between like an ego and just confidence that you're proud of what you did, sort of.
And it's also like whatever your voice is, you can make every platform, whatever you're most comfortable doing is what you should do. If you're not comfortable dancing on TikTok 10 steps, don't dance. But that doesn't mean you have to ignore the whole platform. You could still do stuff that's like in your voice that works for you, that's comfortable for you.
Yeah,
10
like,
Steps makes good music.
He makes amazing music.
and he
So,
does
like,
he does sick like behind the scenes, like showing how he broke down a track. He did one on our record shop drop, and I watched the whole thing because like he's just walking through, showing you all the stuff that he did, and it's clear that he's very enthusiastic about it and loves it, and it comes across as genuine, and that makes it engaging content. Like I don't even remember if his face was in it. It could have just been his voice.
I don't remember his face in it.
So like it doesn't really matter. One person that I've noticed a lot recently is Bexy, who was also in the record shop drop, has done a bunch of releases now on Fire, and her approach to showing her tracks is similar to what other people do, of like, let me show you how I make this, but it doesn't seem like she's not shouting at you, because that's not her personality, but she is showing herself, and it's just, that is what's natural for her. But if you had Tiesto doing that, it would look very weird, and that's not his style. And if you had Carnage doing that, that's not his style. Like, it's just a matter of finding what's natural for you, and I feel like most people will feel it. Like, you yourself will feel, this doesn't feel forced. I should probably do more of this. And if it connects, then for sure.
Shout out
it's like
Todd
a bigger-
Stuckey saying it's Cinco de Mayo was last month, bro. I know.
Oh, thanks for
Late
showing
to the
up. Finally.
conversation, yeah.
Yeah, a little late to the party, my guy.
Can I come on an episode of Todd Stuckey's with this hat?
Yeah, man. Next time you're out in the West, like, you got to stop by his apartment.
No, I mean, when we started this show, it was in the heart of COVID. Everybody was live streaming, but it was all DJ sets. And we're like,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's not going to be sustainable for us to do DJ sets because neither one of us were hype on it. Neither one of us were, like, psyched about the idea of, like, playing for ourselves in our own home studios. It just wasn't anything. So for some people, that's their thing, and that's
Take
awesome.
Liquid Todd. Liquid Todd,
Oh, yeah.
his personality is perfectly suited for what he has set up on that platform.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
us trying to do it, no way. Todd Stuckey, I'm sorry, your house. I did not mean to misplace you in an apartment.
I feel like I'm in New York when I watch Liquid Todd.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But
I'm
like
at a
for us,
bar
it
or
was like,
something.
all right, well, can we just get on here every week, talk shop, bring on some people like Austin Kramer and hang out and have really productive conversations? Yeah, like that's sustainable. Plus it's fun, and it doesn't require like it doesn't make us uncomfortable, and it also doesn't require a ton of work that takes away from other things that we're doing. Like we set this time every week, we line up the guests. Drew helps us set everything up, and like it's really not, I mean, we're not doing crazy production or anything, but it's a productive conversation. People watching, they tell us they get something out of it. I think you guys get something out of it, but we definitely get something out of it. And like it feeds everything we're doing, and we have a presence online every week where we could tell people, yo, if you want to hang out with us, this is where we'll be at this time every week. So
Yeah, you built a family here. It's awesome. You know, I do have one request. Could you have Todd Stuckey write bits?
I would love that.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, let's set a price for bits. Todd, just drop it in the comments what you're going to charge per bit, and then you can just hit other people on social media and they can act them out. That's how they're
You
going
know,
to
because
blow
like
up.
Letterman and Leno all had writers back in the
Yeah.
day, like that, and you guys are already there with the questionnaires or the segments that you do.
Mm.
Yeah.
So
We
that
didn't
could
have
be-
so on Reach. We haven't like honed in on the segments yet. We got to figure that out. We have to make some new clips for Reach.
Yeah.
But he said he's open for business, baby. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
man.
So Austin, holy shit! It's already been an hour and a half. That's amazing.
Oh, damn.
Wow.
Nice.
Anything that you, I wanted to throw it back to you because I feel like you always have some like good theories and like good questions and stuff. So why don't you take the reins on this interview? Are there any topics that you want to jump into that we haven't had the chance to talk about either today or the past shows?
Yeah, there's so many. But my memory is shot, so I don't remember any of them.
It's from all that weed when you were a child.
It really is bad for me. I mean, it might be good for other people, but I just was peer pressured into it, and I freaking lost so much time.
Neurons
But-
gone.
I could have been like, I was talking about this with my wife yesterday. It's like her friends, you know, were a valedictorian and like a prize-winning gymnast and stuff like this, and she's like, I was a dancer, but I was never that good. I'm like, why you can't talk negatively about yourself? Stay positive,
Yeah.
you know. And then I got on to like, I would have been so much more if I had, you know, been a coder or something. Instead of getting on a four-wheeler and riding into the woods to go to a kegger back in South Dakota back in the days. I was so obsessed with that. That was stupid.
This is actually like we can steer this into the music thing. Like, I think, I don't know. I think about that stuff a lot now. Having kids, I'm like, I should really like introduce them to this, because now looking back, I wish I had spent more time doing this when I was a kid, and it's hard to like put yourself back in your shoes of like how much you didn't want to do that at the time. But in like a musical sense, there's, I don't know, there's probably stuff that hopefully we have viewers that are in middle school, high school now, when you have all the time in the world. Yes, you have some obligations, homework, whatever, extra activities, but like there's something about that time where you can just spend so much dedicated time on learning something. And I feel like that's such a valuable thing that you lose more and more of as you get older, because you have all these other responsibilities. Like, if Nick and I hadn't spent as much time just fucking around when we were in college on music, like making stuff just to make it, and you're learning, but there's no real like end goal, you're not trying to make hits, I feel like I would be so much farther behind in my knowledge of stuff.
Hence your video that you posted saying that just do it. Like, there's no speed. Like, what are you waiting for? Just put it out there, and then you can start learning.
You're
Then
never going to have more time than
Right.
you do right now. You're just constantly losing it.
Yeah.
No, I mean that goes back to your original. I think the first topic we talked about today is just go, like, get it into the universe. Even if you don't do a big PR blast about it, like you're not comfortable, like just really pushing it.
Yo,
Just
do you
the
think
idea-
that they make us do that because without them beforehand they wouldn't get paid?
Wait, what
By
do
the
you
way,
mean?
like these impedances and these planning things and like all you know, when you release music as an artist or a label, right? You guys, like, do you think that these moves are set up by the past industry and are just almost relics of them because there are no physical, you know, fall off rate, and there's so many
That's a
pieces
great
of the
point.
industry that are still there for no freaking reason. Like, do I really need a PR person? Do I really need a major label, a label even? Could I just release this on, you know, on SoundCloud?
Absolutely. No, I think that's a great point. I think there are a lot of relics, but I do think there's still a place for some of them. Like, you know, we got an interview on 1001 Track List, and they featured our record. And then from that, we got some other looks. Like, there's still a touch point with something like that. We hired a publicist when we did our Friends of Fries pack just to have that coverage. There's certain, like, unfortunately, like, there's a component to getting press even if people aren't necessarily going to that site and seeing it, just the idea that you're getting headlines is still a thing in people's heads, so it legitimizes it. But I think that speaks to, like, there's relics of things from the past that are kind of innately built into certain people, and they view things in a certain way. That said, like, yeah, you don't need a label. Nobody needs a label.
Right.
I think that there's aspects to a label that you can leverage that'll help your career, but you could definitely just go put out a record tomorrow, and there's enough resources on the internet for you to push your record, for sure.
I'm really stoked that Tracy Chan is now going to SoundCloud from Twitch, and he was at Spotify prior, and I think YouTube. But that means that SoundCloud's getting ready to have an artist-friendly platform, or like an artist platform, or maybe something, you know, along the lines of a Spotify for artists. So that's amazing, because that to me has always been the platform with most ease and freeform, and just passive, like, shareability is through the roof on that. Once they hone that in and figure out, like, and didn't like SiriusXM, didn't Liberty buy a portion of SoundCloud?
Maybe. I'm not sure. I do think I really do agree with you about the, like, there's no barrier on that platform, and it worked so well for us because, I don't know, TikTok has no barrier, but it's also just very, like, rough. Like, you're literally just doing it and sending it. But SoundCloud has, like, a little bit of, like, you can put in a little bit of prep or, like, context to it, sort of, but it is just direct. I think I would love if, even if it's not SoundCloud, if another platform like that did start to take off again. I think the biggest issue they ran into was artists being able to monetize on the platform. When it started out great because you could get a lot of visibility, which led to other opportunities. But
That's your childhood piano.
yes, my child discovered the childhood piano. We're gonna see it close to the doorbell house.
That's photo worthy though.
Yeah, that's awesome. But no, like Bandcamp, people forget about Bandcamp, and like that's a similar thing. It's why we really liked Record Shop in the music NFT space, because it's self-service. Like you'll be able to get on there the way they're moving towards with storefronts. Like you'll be able to get on there and mint something yourself. That cuts out the whole idea of needing other people to just like muck up the process. So if you want to deliver something tomorrow and mint it, you'll be able to do that. And so I think, you know, to your point of SoundCloud, like reigniting things, I think that would be awesome. I'd love to get it back to where it was.
Like mix show uploads.
Oh, that would be the best.
Bootlegs.
That's still like such,
Bootlegs.
yeah, the bootlegs, the mashups. That's still such a thing of like, I don't know, like it's frustrating that the music industry hasn't figured out where I can just like everything I want to listen to is available on every platform. Like if I want to listen to DJ mixes, I have to be on SiriusXM or Mixcloud or SoundCloud. Like that, you can't just get everything under one roof. But I don't foresee that being like an easy fix.
Also,
Going
have you
forward.
guys, do you have a problem with audio quality, or just the meat of the sound showing up in the car when you connect with either Apple or Android? Like, does your Spotify playlist hit as hard as SiriusXM is my question.
No, I mean, there's definitely a difference in audio quality, which is always, I mean, this is such a minor producer gripe, but it's so hard to like reference. Like if I'm listening to a track that we're working on and then I want to compare it to stuff on Spotify, Spotify is always going to sound different than what's coming straight out of my DAW sort of. That it's hard to compare. I have to like find files that I've downloaded to A/B it with. But I think that probably has to do with the fact that they're dealing with such a wide variety of music of all different qualities, and they try to normalize it to all be consistent. So if you stay in the platform, it's great, very consistent, but jumping platform to platform, it's difficult.
So this
I
is
think
really
it's like
interesting. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Austin.
Yeah,
Just it's an unrealized thing that nobody really talks about. Is like I think the reason podcasts blew up is because your playlist just doesn't, either it's difficult to maintain, and then you just don't, you lapse out on your SiriusXM subscription. Not me. I just re-upped because I want
Me
that
either.
Utopia.
I just saw the billing notification come in this afternoon.
Yeah, but it
I'm
just
a,
doesn't work the same.
Yeah.
Do you guys
yeah,
pay
yeah.
full price for Sirius? You don't use.
I
the
call
hack?
periodically.
Okay. All right. Cool.
I tested out the hack 2 days ago. I got it for 11 something.
My man.
See, once we switch, but it is. I will say it's a service that I do value because we have it in our second car, and I'm not a smooth talker to get like the rate on both cars, so I only got it on one car.
No.
I was like, but I still can't give it up, even if it's like it. I mean, it ends up being like double what I pay for a lot of other streaming services, and I don't spend that much time in the car, but it's still that valuable to me that I'll just eat it.
I always liked having FM radio in one car as like my like I will pay for Sirius for one car, but that FM in our secondary car, I know when I go into that car, I go back in time and I'm going to FM radio just so I know what's going on those stations.
What do you
I
listen
think
to?
in New York that's a relevant thing. In New York, there's a value to that.
Yeah, I mean they're still breaking certain pop music at Z100 and stuff. I like checking it out. And then KTU does the throwbacks. You can't beat it. Radio Dave said Wookie's crushing it on Bandcamp. He uses it to give people his Beats I Can't Release edits.
Yeah.
He has it set up like a subscription, $5 a month, gives you access to all of his edits. He's not selling them directly. He's selling access to the archive. It's a very smart workaround.
That's great. But it's interesting because we played a shit ton of Wookiee edits going back like 5 years when we would get them on SoundCloud. And at that time, he was probably gating them to have you like follow his other stuff that he's got going or whatever. But I haven't seen a lot of what he's been doing recently because I'm only going to hear about it through certain platforms. Like if we're not following him on Twitter or Instagram or something to let us know that we need to go to Bandcamp to find his stuff, then we're missing out. And we're fans that want that content, but there's too much going on like for us to think about like how am I going to track down his music. So it is tricky. Like even if you're doing great stuff and you have fans that like you, there could still be something lost where it's not connecting, which is pretty wild.
What do you guys think of Audius?
Hang on, I'll get to that 1 second. I just want to do this before I forget, because we forgot the past 2 weeks. We dropped a free sample pack, and if you guys didn't grab it, I'm dropping the link on Twitch. If you're watching elsewhere, it is freesamplepack.finishmytrack.com. So there's a bunch of loops. Grab that. It's free. Have fun with it. We dropped it a little while ago, and we never dropped it here. So there it is. Free sample pack. Audience.
So I don't fully understand the platform. Like I've stumbled across it a couple times, but I've never really invested a lot of time looking around or sort of figuring it out. It in some ways it seems like a new SoundCloud, but what would you say is like its main feature?
Isn't it tied? I think it's tied to decentralized philosophy.
I think that's how I first came across it was through like Web3 stuff. But
Yeah.
even just looking at the interface, it has like a SoundCloud type vibe to it. There's a feed, a discover, like there's artists you can follow. And I forget what the model is for how you would download stuff on there, but I know you can download as well. So like, for example, you've got Wookiees on there.
They have a native cryptocurrency called Audio. Great name.
Is that coming through?
Yep.
So this is something that Wookiee has on here. Which is like a mashup of something he had done before. The VIP of the VIP of the VIP.
Nice.
We'll let that fade out. But yeah, then it links to a toneden.io, which gates it, where you can then download it.
And how do royalties work with that? Like, do they need they also get struck?
I have
So I'm
no
looking-
idea.
Maybe this is the new SoundCloud.
That's what it feels like or looks like to me, but
Similar to SoundCloud, they're fan-powered royalties. Instead of treating every stream with the same royalty rate, users will have the option to give more tokens per stream to their favorite artists. So it's built on self-governance, basically. Like if you're streaming Disco Fries records and we're getting on average 1 token per stream, you could say like, no, I'm gonna hit them with 3 tokens a stream because I really like them.
Wow.
I think
Clayton.
that's a good way to do it. I mean, like, there's just been a general rise in that sort of like fan dictated support with Patreon and stuff like that. I think that's a pretty good model. It's just difficult because there's so many of them, and you really have to work to like find your audience to support you. But I do find like the stuff that I do that I've backed before on Patreon is stuff that I'm super interested in. So I'm like willing to dump a little bit of money into it. Whereas I don't know, for stuff that I'm like passively interested in, I go to YouTube or, whatever.
Can we decide if it's Patreon or Patron?
Oh, Patreon. I totally meant Patreon.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
okay.
not Patron.
I'm
Shout out
stoked
to
about
Spawn for
Audius.
cheering. Oh, you are stoked
Sorry.
about Audius.
Only because I know that they have good people there, like Clayton Blaha, I think founded it, or like was in the founding of it, and he was Skrillex's buddy at Owsla, and he put a ton of music out and was part of the creative on his team. So I just have a lot of respect for him.
Yeah, we met him forever ago
Very,
through
very long
Tommy.
time ago. Yeah.
And I didn't realize he was like a big part of that. No idea.
Me either. And we had a call, and I was like, "Wait, that's Clayton. I know you."
Todd Stuckey said, I feel like all these subscriptions and stuff are so focused on producers. Am I wrong? To a degree, yeah. I mean, they are focused on artists because they're artist tools. So,
Yeah.
especially if the music isn't, if they're trying to give a heavy percentage of what the sale is back to the artist or producer, they have to monetize the platform somehow. So they have to charge for those services. So, like with Spotify, the lion's share, I mean, depending how you see it, the lion's share is going to Spotify at some level, right? It's not going necessarily to the artist. So that's why the consumer is charged what they're charged, but the artist isn't really charged as much. Now Spotify is shifting, and I think what you're going to see is the royalty rates will go up, but they're going to monetize the artists. So I'm already seeing like the marquee banners that artists can have on Spotify, you have to pay for as an artist. So they're going to start monetizing the artist more on Spotify, and in turn, they will raise the royalty rates. You'll probably see this soon, but there's a cost with that. So,
By lion's share, you meant revenue?
yeah.
Well, that's always something I take issue with when that comes up, where people kind of mess with the numbers and say like that Spotify gets a percentage of each song, and that's just not true. Like back when I mean, this is public knowledge. I'm not sharing industry secrets or anything. It's like that when they started, they publicly made the industry know that, or let them know that a set fixed rate of their overall revenue will be divided amongst creators. And that's always been the case to this day. I think it was 70% back when they started. Everyone bitched about rates, Taylor Swift used that. I only get so-and-so.
Yeah.
Much later to find out that was the deal she made with her label, and thus,
Right.
began investigations on each and every person's label deal. But and then the bitching went towards the labels, and then it went back and forth between DSPs and labels, and continues to this day. But yeah, they take all the revenue for the year, and then they say base it on MAU, or monthly users of each artist, and then each and every one of them artists has their own label deals. So then it gets reformatted as a press release. It's like Warner made such and such, Sony made but it's
Yeah.
just not how it works. It's like based on artist streams.
Right, but at the same time, all of those majors have a stake in the company too.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying it's all going back to Spotify. Yes, it's going back to Spotify at some level, but then all the labels are invested in Spotify. So it's just like there's this one big conglomerate at the top that's getting a lot of that revenue.
And Sony, I believe Sony or Warner wanted to make and then every major followed in suit and path. And it was like, I think Sony said it's selling its share in Spotify and giving that back to the artist or something like that. Do you remember when that came out?
Yeah, there was a prorated like payout. I thought it was Universal, but it might have been Sony. I can't remember, but I do remember there being like a prorated payout based on that sale. I'm curious if it was Universal or Sony. Not that matters, but
and that was probably a good move because their stock was much higher. I think it was twice as much as it is now.
Yeah, I actually never bought the Spotify stock, surprisingly.
Ever?
No.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I listen to a lot of stuff across different, not just in music, but in tech or in entertainment. And it's just such like a confusing thing to grapple with. Like, nothing's free, man. Everyone needs to get paid, and no one wants to pay anything for it. And it's just such like a tricky thing where, like, I don't know, all these services that you think are free, a lot of Google services, or I don't know what else, but you're paying by like giving up all your data.
Right.
Which, if you put a number on it, is obviously very valuable and maybe worth more to you than the money that you could just spend to get the service outright. So it's complicated. Everyone's just trying to figure out, like, everyone still has to get paid, and everyone still has to pay something, but no one wants to. So I can sympathize with all the big companies to the extent that they're dealing with a very difficult situation. Some of them are using the fact that they are in a very difficult situation to deflect all of the blame. But it's complicated, man.
No, and I feel for the people, and then we can get off of this because I know we only have 10 minutes left, and I want to talk to Austin about a few things before we get into Dope or Nope stuff. I do feel bad for a lot of the people that work at these companies that are music people, and they're well-intended, and they're pushing the music forward, and so on and so forth. And I feel like they get caught up in the conversation of a lot of this stuff that has nothing to do with them. They're not setting those rates. They're not setting policies. They're not even like figuring out like how the company really spends their top line revenue, but they're part of, you're just saying like Spotify's bad, this entity's bad. And it's like, yo, there's humans behind that do really dope shit. And they're coming up with, like when you guys did the running app and we worked together on that whole thing, it was like one of the most forward-thinking projects any DSP had done at that time. And like, that took a lot of manpower, a lot of thought, dev teams, you guys thinking about like, how do we put this product out? And like, I feel like that gets brushed to the side when it comes to the money, and that's a bummer. So anyway, just putting that out there for artists that like want to think about these things, and they just kind of like draw or paint with a wide brush across the whole topic and the whole platform. And like, you have to think like there's a lot of other little areas that have to do with that platform that people are involved with that do really cool shit. So,
and they need the people there to be passionate about too.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I was trying to shout out Robbie, because that he all of EDC Vegas is now on, nearly all the DJ sets are on Apple on demand.
That's awesome.
That's crazy.
And that's like one of the most impressive things I've ever seen. Like, the amount of licensing and paperwork is probably just nauseating.
Yeah.
But he saw that it takes people like him to realize that the end goal is worth it. You know, to have that person in their car or whatever be, exhausted on the stations, so they get their phone out and then they have EDC at their fingertips. That's amazing.
That's
to have that.
Yeah, that's cool. Insane. Especially with the price to go to EDC now. It's pretty
$1,000 or whatever.
Yeah, and then you could have access to at least the audio experience of that for whatever the monthly subscription cost is. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Todd Stuckey said, "I have 18,000 points on this stream. Can I buy a finger trap?"
No, dude, you just get one of those hands that you like, and it like sticks to the wall. You know those like sticky, gooey
Yes.
hand things?
What happened to those?
I don't know.
People
But
were
I'm-
like, "This is a health hazard. We're eradicating them." I love it. So before we make the jump into the next show, Austin, any artists you want to plug? Anything you want to plug?
Well, I did want to say, could we have the transfer or ending credits be that song that we that I texted you, the
Oh, what was it?
Harley You Make Me Feel? I thought that was a Disco Fries track, and
No, that was it's kind of cool. You thought it was a Disco Fries track.
Wait, is it Harley
it's
with
in
2
Harley.
E's?
it's
No,
Harley
it's
with no
HRLY and Tony Clark. You make me feel. on
Oh,
Lift
from
Off.
the intro. Yeah, that song is a jam, man. We've talked about like refreshing our intro and doing like more recent Liftoff songs, because that was the plan originally. It was like, oh, every 3 months we'll swap it out, but now that one's like so stuck in my head and it triggers like it's time to go into this mode that
good.
I don't really want to change it now.
Yeah, this is it.
And if we
This
do
is
it
at the top.
long enough, eventually someone's gonna come along and sync it.
Oh, for sure. Now that you just put that in the universe,
Right.
absolutely gonna happen. Austin, though, let us know like who's on the come up on TBD, like what's coming out and
Yeah.
what you look forward to.
Thanks. Yeah, no, that's kind of what I brought this track up for, is that like these type of records, and Danny, you're talking about how the early 2000s records, I mean, they're completely different. I'm not trying to compare Harley with those Cascada records, but like that's something that'll never get lost, is like the perfect melody with the perfect vocal on it, and the tempo is just right to lift your spirit. You know, like I'm all about I'm a sucker for those type of records. And that's something that might have got thrown out with the bathwater with Tech House and, you know, like remaking records. Like there's not too many new records that feel just like this
Yeah, I know what you mean.
with a hook on it, you know, and a perfect vocal. So I'm also focused on that. And I had there is a record coming out next week, 6/17. So yeah, that's tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah.
Yeah. No. It's next week. It's June 24 on TBD. It's called "Stuck in My Head" by Cosmic Skies.
Nice.
Excellent producer, and it's just
Awesome.
It's similar, related to, you know, that the vocal dance records that we all miss and love and are trying to get back in the ecosystem.
Nice.
Love it. Yeah, man. Thanks again. Thank you for coming on here once again. I think this was a cool conversation. We haven't
Yeah.
talked about a lot of the stuff we talked about today on the show, and that's why we do it. So
Sorry to go so
thanks.
deep.
No, sometimes it's nice, since we've had a few conversations with you, that like we've gotten through a lot of the like initial things that people would want to know about, and once that's out of the way, then you can kind of go a little deeper. I think that's cool.
Von Deepa. Got
No
Von
weed
Deeper.
needed. That's funny.
Oh yeah, man. Get up on that mic.
no weed needed hashtag. Like it. All right.
Cool. I'm not gonna hit end stream. I watched the chaos unfold last time when I hit end stream, and it just, as soon as I did it, I like tried to like, as my finger was
Undo.
moving, I was like, no, and I watched it because when I watch on, I have it up on Twitch on this other monitor muted, and I got to, it's like 5 seconds delayed from what I'm seeing right here, so I just got to like immediately turn and watch it happen, and then everyone.
The best
come
was
back
the
on.
setup. The best was the setup
And I'm-
because he went. He's like, I'm just gonna do this, and it ends the stream.
What happened?
It's for anyone that, I mean, I can't show it, but there's like a big button that's like right below where my face is that says end stream, and it just felt like that's what I was supposed to click, and now I know that's never the button to click.
I accidentally
All right.
sent the Dropbox link inside of our live chat here in Reach, and that kicked me off because I clicked it to make sure if it was working. and then Hess actually played it on the show, and it was a record I wasn't trying to get on the show, but yeah. So it happens to everyone.
Yeah. No, it's all good. Well, you're sticking around. Danny's bouncing. So, ladies and gentlemen, this was Finish My Track. We're not going anywhere. Dope or Nope is next. And this is where I exit stage left from all this water and return in a moment. And I think that's about it.
Can we play the
Charlotte.
track? The Harley track?
I just played it.
Like
We'll
in
play it.
full?
We'll pull all of our visuals off. Maybe you put up can you put up the static image, or you'd have to load it?
I'd have to load a static image.
I could do it from my end real quick. I
Like
like
that
that we
same
can
countdown. How do you do that countdown? That's cool.
Oh yeah, you could just let the countdown roll again. Do we need a whole 5 minutes?
I don't think we need a whole 5 minutes, but who makes the rules here? I mean, we could just jump in partway through.
Or we just
there it is.
but I forgot it doesn't format it correctly. There you go.
How'd you do that?
I just uploaded it, and then when you hover over it, there's like a little arrow to expand or make it fit. And then Nick, you can pull all of us off, and you can play the track, and then you can just put yourself back on.
Cool. Thanks so much for having me, guys. As always.
Yeah, this was awesome.
Lots of fun.
Yeah. All right, everybody, stick around. We're not going anywhere. This was Finish My Track, and now we roll into Dope or Nope.
BRB.
Peace.
Bread and love, baby, you are my light in the dark. It's time to tell you all, baby, it's time. You make me feel that there is nobody else than you. Love you so bad, and I will not change a thing. It's true, it's true. You make me feel that there is nobody else than you. Love you so bad, I will not change a thing. It's true.
This is very good.
All right.
What's up?
How we doing?
What's up? What's up?
Austin really liked the song.
Yeah, what was that?
A liftoff record from Harley and Tony Clark that we put out a while ago. And
Yeah, we didn't get tagged. That's nice.
This is really good.
thank you, guys. Yeah, great
I was
song.
sitting here like this.
Feel good record. And Austin was all over it. And it's been, I want to say it came out like over a year ago now. And it's been in our intro for the show forever. But yeah,
Nice.
that's it.
Oh, there we go. Let's straighten that out.
Hello, everyone. How's everyone
Hello.
doing?
Doing
What's
well.
up? What's up? Let me put some music on.
Over under that I'm going to spill this on myself or all over my desk this right now because Duncan did not give me a straw with DoorDash.
Oh, so bad.
So if it doesn't end up all over me by the end of this, we'll be in good shape, guys.
Got it. Perfect. We should let Lauren in. Can we do that?
Yep.
Colleen, invited.
British for California.
Ed.
You don't want that.
Hold on. Add. Adding.
Here we go.
Lauren.
Hi, Lauren.
Mr.
Howdy.
Padman.
Hello.
What's up?
Wow, we all got the white memo, shirt memo
Yeah.
for Nick.
Minus
Sure did.
me.
Except for Nick.
Except for Nick.
Always
Well,
ripping
'cause
the
that's black is a Jersey thing, right?
Yeah, black leather, all
It's
that.
also the
Black
industry.
leather. Stop
Black
it.
leather. I love black leather.
Oh, I don't want to
The
go
amount
there.
of black leather pants I own is
Jackets,
not
sir.
normal.
Jackets. Black leather jackets.
Got it.
Pants
got
are
it.
good too. Trendy.
I mean, that just
You
sounds...
know you have a pair in the closet, Nick. Come on. I know you do.
Yep. Totally. Chaps.
How's everybody
all that.
doing today?
Yeah, man. Really good. Yourself?
Yeah, good, thanks. Super good. Looking forward to some new tunes, and we've got a special
Awesome.
guest today. Very excited about that
Yeah,
as
special
well.
guest.
Yeah, very
Who
exciting.
could that be?
Yes,
Well,
we
I
got
guess
some
we'll find
music.
out when we find out. But maybe play. Well, we have to play things that aren't going to get us booted. Remember, that's the trick.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know we have a bunch of those.
Let's
Um,
play
I
something.
could throw in a
and-
nice bed. Do we need just a bed right now?
yeah,
Well,
it's
do we
just-
have music, right? Or no?
Yeah.
Can you hear it?
Can't hear music. No, and if you're
Can't
playing
hear.
anything, we cannot. we
Can't hear
hear
music
it.
currently. But
Wow, that's unfortunate. Why is that? Where's Firefox? Hold on.
So we have a very special guest today. She'll be on shortly, and she is a prolific singer in the dance music space.
Yeah.
She's also a DJ, and she's also a producer, and she's freaking awesome. And yeah, you'll be very excited. She's got very much a one-of-a-kind voice, really incredible singer. So I thought it might be nicer to tease it instead of explaining who it is.
Yeah,
I
I
love
like
it.
I
And
like the tease. I like the tease.
I also like that when Lauren talks softer like that without music, it really gives you the sense of like classical music radio stations on AM radio in the States.
Aw.
It's so
It's-
soothing.
Wow.
I really
Yeah.
need you on the comm app. Like if you were on the
Yeah.
comm app talking like that, I would fall asleep instantly every night.
That's generally what happens when I'm talking to people during the day. So
I'm
Thanks
not
for
gonna
noticing.
lie, I'm a little hungover, and I literally, in that moment of you just talking, I was like, I went to another place. I was like,
oh really?
Yeah, it was good. I was like, the relaxation,
That's
of
nice.
life.
While we wait for Mr. Hess, I'll just throw on some music to hype
There
this
you go.
party up. This
That works.
is Radio Dave with Jerk. Radio Dave's dropped a lot of stuff on Dope or No,
Oh yeah.
so shout out to him.
Yeah, shout out.
Super nice.
What's new and exciting, guys?
I went to the Keshi concert last night, and that was amazing. It was so
Nice.
good. It was at the Fonda Theater in Hollywood, and he did 2 nights sold out. It was really, really good. I was so close. I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I'm so happy right now. So,
I love it.
oh, I hear echo. What about you guys? What's happening? How was everyone's week?
Lauren, I think we're getting an echo from your side
Yeah.
if you don't have headphones in.
Let me handle that.
Oh, good. Working it out on a Thursday. We just had Mr. Austin Kramer on Finish My Track today, so it's a really good conversation. The rerun is up, probably already on YouTube, or you can just go back after this episode and check it out. We had a deep dive discussion about classics versus hits, how to break as an artist in 2022 to a degree. And what else did we talk about? We went pretty deep.
Old school artists and the fallacy that they teach us in elementary school.
Yes. It was just a really good conversation. We haven't touched on a lot of those topics, so that was great.
We went deep. Good to see you guys.
Hello, Austin.
What's crappinin'?
Well, hopefully it's not crapping in. We've still got. We're still excited about Raquel's crapped out third drawer. It doesn't quite
Oh,
close.
yeah.
I
Love
broke
that.
it more, guys.
Or what
Oh
happened?
no.
Fixed it because you guys made me super self-conscious, and then I broke it more.
No, I like it. I like it just how it is.
It's the
It has
character.
a
I
little
love
bit
it.
Of spice.
A little spice. It's good.
It's cool.
It's
yeah.
fine.
It's a feature.
I almost
Hess
broke
is
my
having-
finger too. It's fine. Doing it.
Oh no.
Oh, it attacked you?
It attacked me and then it broke more. Thriving.
Wow. So if you mention your drawer in the chat, then you're gonna get banned.
Yeah. We're banning you for
wow.
life.
Just kidding.
So I'm working this through with Hess right now. Just a couple little problems. we're working
Yeah,
through. It's all
I'm
good.
back. Can you hear me?
Yo.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yay. Can you hear
All right,
music?
Yeah. You
well,
can be
music's
heard.
coming from me. I'm gonna lower mine. Let's see if we can hear yours. Are you playing music right now?
I am.
Oh, no.
Well, that's what you
So-
think.
Apparently.
Well,
not.
while we figure
Hold on.
that out, send me the Google form link and I'll take care of it on this end. And we have a guest here that I'm
Wow.
about to add. Lauren, if you want to do a little intro as I am adding our special guest, feel
No,
free.
we need to. I've already done my intro. Let's get her in so she can hear it. Let's hit it.
All right. Here we go.
Well.
Hey.
Yeah.
Hi.
what's up?
Hi. Hello.
How are you, Kalina?
I'm good. I'm really good. It's been a good day so far. I went
Very
hiking.
good.
It's sunny outside. It's great.
Very exciting. You're in Los Angeles as well. Where
Yep.
it's always sunny.
Yes, exactly.
Do you by any chance have headphones? Because you're going to get slapped back from talking and all that fun stuff.
When
So
did they
when
start
they
calling it
start
slapback?
You can hear us twice. Slapback.
Has it always been called slapback? Back,
It is in
back,
Australia.
Oh, here we go.
It's an Australianism. Oh, dude.
Australianism.
Yeah, I should have known.
I got so many.
No, because Nick mentioned it. I thought it was normal.
I'm trying not to talk with the slapback.
Here you go.
Let's see. Yeah,
Can
there
you
you
hear
go.
me?
Check.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
there it is.
Fixed.
there we go.
Yes.
Very
Yes.
nice. Well, very
Still no
very-
music from my side.
No.
Nope.
While you send over the DJ services to Miss DJ Disco Fries because
Yes,
he
sir.
is qualified, and I can
Qualified.
explain. I can quickly give Kalina an intro. What you missed before was me pumping up your tires, Kalina, telling
Oh.
everybody about how you're an incredible person above all things, an
you.
amazing singer, a phenomenal producer, DJ. I've seen you play out at EDC as a
Yeah.
DJ, also picking up the microphone and just wowing everybody. I remember like trying to head towards a stage and I was like, which direction is it? And I literally heard your voice and I'm like, that's the direction.
Right.
Very, very unique, big, massive, incredible gift with those vocal cords and really kind-hearted soul. And we're so glad to have you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Wow. that
Yeah,
was
really
nice.
appreciate you taking time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
So-
tell us about you recently did a live show, right? Was it last week or the week before?
Hold
Live
on.
shows all the time.
Wait, hold on. I'm choking on something.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
That's
no.
probably worth holding up for. While she figures that out.
We're doing really well today.
Cool.
Yeah,
All right.
we're- yeah,
I just had to.
we're
I
all
just had to
just-
choke really fast.
Yeah.
So, last weekend I played Gov Ball actually, and that was amazing. Lots of like young, newer like teens and young people that were like way more into music just in general than people in LA. So it was really, really fun. And where did I play before that? I think it was, I don't know, maybe Exchange or somewhere. I don't know. It's all kind of new to me because I just, I started DJing and now it's just been like kind of an amazing whirlwind of shows DJing and singing. So it's good. I love it. It's really fun.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Um,
so Kalina's been featured on a ton of records and collaborated with a ton of big artists around the world. She's done some fantastic covers that she's known for, and also reinterpolations and whatever. So if you ever hear a Sweet Dreams cover or a California
California.
Love remake,
Yeah.
all of those kinds of big records, Rhythm of the Night. Maybe Rhythm as a Dancer is next, who knows? Anyway,
Dancer.
yeah. Big records, and yeah, a big voice, and I just love how you pivoted into DJing as well and picked that up and are running around and
Yeah,
crushing.
that's pretty impressive, actually.
Yeah,
Thank you.
You've got the secret weapon, you see, because most DJs don't get to be able to pick up the microphone and rip. So that's a definite huge advantage.
Right.
Right on.
There's a few, just a very few that do it really well. I mean, DJ Ray out of the UK, Brooks out of Brooklyn.
Oh, I love DJ Ray.
You know, where they, really have the ability to, and the attention to like DJing's hard enough, right? Like you're looking at the crowd, you're trying to figure it out. But then also your song comes on, and now you're the vocalist, and you're doing that part of it while you're DJing, right? So to me, that's like now 3 plates are up in the air, and circling.
And I dance
There's
too.
just
And I dance.
make it 4. Make it 4 plates.
And I like to shake
now
it.
we have 4 plates.
4 plates.
Well,
So
thank you again for joining us.
yeah, Hess, do you want to explain the show to the listeners
So
and introduce it and get it moving?
Nick, a little lower.
Sure.
The music's a little loud.
The way we do this, super easy. We ask during the week for people to present us demos, like originals. Sometimes there's a remix that slips in, but generally we go after the demos. We haven't heard these before, so we're listening to them all at the same time in the surprise mode, which is fun because I think that really gets us to like look at the piece without having a memory to it, right? So you go straight in. And we just give a little bit of advice, with all due kindness, just to like help them tweak it a little bit here and there. And we've talked about this before, where sometimes we nitpick on specific items, but it's because we really feel like it's potentially could be like super special. So that's how we do it. Kalina, you can see all the comments on your screen, right to the right.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to give someone a shout out specifically, you'll have to do it over the mic because they can't see your comments. Just we see them internally.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Cool.
Gotcha.
So Nick, you want to like fire off the first one? Normally I'm doing the DJ, so this is a little weird for me.
Yeah, it's a little weird for me too because I'm getting used to your job and it's not like my job.
Right.
So anyway, let me fire off the first one. You sent it to me. It used to be from Years of War.
Yeah.
And here we go.
By the way, this one was from last week. We did play this, but it's so good. I just needed to hear it one more time.
Okay.
You're listening to Dope or Nope.
Every little word I say is like a blade, it cuts right to the core. Every other move I make, it's no mistake, I always seem to hurt. Oh, I lost myself, don't recognize these bones. Oh, my blood's gone cold. Something running through my veins, it takes the place of what was innocent. A poison that I can't escape, that makes its way through every inch of me. And I don't wanna be this way, I'll be this way. I'm digging my own grave. There's something running through my veins, it takes the place of how I used to be.
So good.
Every little
Very
ounce of
nice.
pain, it falls like rain. I'm drowning in the flame.
Very nice.
As I let it
Great
wash
record.
away, no, I won't be
I actually reached out to
saved.
them.
I know I'm too
Really?
far
Still sounds good.
Oh,
Yeah, I was just like, God, this is so good. What's going on? And then, they eventually wrote back because it is sort of like it was a group before, right? So the name, and they are actually previously known as, let me pull out the email here, Rico and Miela. So they had been producing, which is Rico and Michelle. They're producing a lot of music that way, and I've heard that stuff over the past, and I think we even had something on Armada.
Nice.
And now that they've gone like straight into this sound, and this is like their new lane, so they created a whole new, not really an alias, they're just like moving over to this vibe, and I'm like, yeah, nice move, well done,
Yeah, good job.
It's so good.
So it's not noted on the sheet where you left off last week exactly.
Oh,
so
yeah. So, let me give you a quick preview of that. If you scroll down to line 101, that's
Okay.
where you'll start there.
Okay.
And
Gonna
then
go with
Austin has
Carl
been
Ring.
kind enough to obliterate all the things that are out and or doubles and or remixes of things that are, because we got tagged for those and tossed.
Right.
Tossed. Did I say it like that?
A little
No.
bit.
Wow.
A little bit.
I apologize. That snuck out. I normally don't have an accent. Living here in Pennsylvania.
He's taking on the Amish accent now.
Right, exactly.
That's
I
coming
got the
in.
cows and the wagons outside. So what do we have up next?
So we got Carl Kane and Future Zound, Save Tonight, featuring Parabilflug. Parabilflug.
All right.
I'm butchering that, but let's roll with it.
Cause all we need is candlelight, you and me, and a bottle of wine to hold
How about
you
tonight?
tonight. Oh yeah. Well, we know I'm going away, and how I wish it weren't so. So take this wine and drink with me, and let's delay our misery. Say tonight, and fight to break your dawn. Come tomorrow I'll be gone. Say tonight, and fight to break your dawn. Come tomorrow I'll be gone. Say tonight, and fight to break your dawn. Come tomorrow I'll be gone. Say tonight, and fight to break your dawn. Tomorrow I'll be gone. There's a lot on the fire.
All right. Let's hear it, Lauren.
Oh, God. Damn it. Why always me?
Tossed it right to him. Right to
How
him.
does that work? That is Eagle Eye Cherry, Save Tonight. Amazing cover, actually. Not so bad. It's not a new song, so therefore it's probably ripe for the picking. But yeah, actually, it's good. It feels like it's it's different in every possible way. I think the drums, it's hard to quite tell over the audio, so I don't want to completely rip into it, but I think the drums could be a little bit less pokey because they're quite like poppy and punchy. It would be nice to have a
Yeah.
little bit more bottom end. That's about all that I really noticed. Vocals sounded pretty good, and on that note, I'll revert to Kalina.
I think it had a great vocal, and I like the instrumentation. I like the notes chosen and everything. But I would in the beginning verse take out the bass, that funky bass, and allow for just the pads and the vocal to settle a bit, and then maybe halfway through bring in a filtered bass, and then allow the drop to have more impact, and then
Yeah.
keep that bass going during the second verse.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yeah,
That's
There you go.
And the
She's
drums-
fixed it.
huh?
I don't.
She's fixed it.
Right.
Great advice.
I was not as enamored by that vocal as you guys.
What do you mean, Hez? How could you not be? It's a cover. You love covers.
No. Hold on. Exactly, Austin. Austin made the face that I was thinking. You are the cover queen, king.
That's not
whatever you want to
true.
call it. But no, if this is the kind of song that that first verse just felt, what's the word I want to use? Sappy.
Sappy.
Yeah, just the verse when he got into the hook. I was like, okay, now I feel like it has a flow. And I didn't actually catch the cover part, so.
I mean, that's kind of the vibe of the original. The original's a little sappy to kick off the record.
Got it.
I
Okay.
liked it. I thought it worked. It made me feel like I was shopping at Pacific Sunwear, and I'm fine with that.
I was gonna say it makes me feel like I'm at a store at a Starbucks listening to a cover
Right.
or Forever,
100%.
actually Forever 21 because they always play covers there,
Yeah.
and you're like shopping, looking at all the same things in different colors, and you're like,
Right.
oh, I like this cover. Moving on.
I'm
That's
shopping
what it
in the wrong places, apparently.
Go to Forever 21 Hess. They have a men's section.
Yeah. I was 21 a very long time ago, so I'm gonna keep it
That's why
moving.
it's Forever 21. You know.
Just to be clear, the song is from 1997, so it's
Yeah.
it's due for a remake. So it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That fits in Lauren's parameters. We're good.
Wow.
We're good.
Fits in his cover parameters. All right, what's up next?
All right, moving on. We got Fashionista with AirPod Racer. Let's go.
AirPods.
Buckle
Like,
up for this one.
AirPod Racer. One word.
Here we go.
I'm confused.
Todd Stuckey.
All right. Consistent.
The volume was ducking out really weirdly there. It's not going.
I
straight
think
through.
like Loopback couldn't handle the genre.
No way.
It pushed it all the way to the right.
Yeah.
Loopback does this thing where it'll just like at random automate itself down when it's
Oh,
getting
yeah.
pushed to the limit, and that's what was happening here.
Yeah, when it
So-
sees
Is
red.
Is it
takes
more
the
of a
master
genre thing?
volume.
Does it listen and just go, no, I'm not into this?
it's an automated AI doper note.
Right. Exactly. So, Kalina, since this is your first time hearing a Fashionista track, they are complex is the first word I want to use. That was actually the most rhythmic thing I think we've gotten from him, right? I would say that actually had some sort of charted rhythm, because a lot of the times they are really much more complex than that, but all super interesting.
Yeah, I think the gunshots were a little alarming for me, like woo, just kind of woo, jarring.
Yeah.
But I did like when it got into the almost like techno like feeling. I think if that was like brought out a little bit more and kind of bring down some of those crunchy 8-bit sounds or whatever. I'm not sure what they are, but there's like a higher like frequency that was kind of like could be like, you know, massaged a bit, and bring out a little bit of like the middle like tiny bit of melody that there's there, but like like the gunshots, ow,
Yeah.
ow.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need the gunshots. I mean, it's
Yeah.
already
No.
aggressive enough as it is. It's
Yeah.
already jarring and confronting, and it's got enough energy just in the drums, like the incessant rhythm. I mean, that has to be in the 180 range. So
I love that.
no problem. Yeah, no problem at all. But you're already doing it. You've already got the passion
Yeah.
and the pump and the energy out of that, so you probably don't need any more shock factor. So yeah, to Kalina's points, the gunshots could go. I think that it is doing exactly what it says on the tin. Again, from last week, it's probably needs a little bit more melody though. But it's very industrial. It's doing exactly what it needs to do. Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
What else you got?
We got one up from Galaxy. Yakety is the name of the record. Regular here on Dope or Nope. Here we
Oh
go.
yeah.
All right, Galaxy with Yakadi. It's cool.
Nice.
That's cool.
That was good. That was
What
good.
do you
To
think?
me, or it's like low quality. Is it like a low bit rate? Or is that
Or
just
is it,
me?
or is it just the audio situation
I
currently?
think it's
Feeling
the
I don't
audio
know if it's
situation.
Feeling a little squeamish today on the audio.
Yeah, I'm not. Don't blame me. I don't know. I'm doing what I can do here.
Not blaming him.
I didn't have any problems on the last show. So what do you
Right,
want
right.
from me?
Hey, just a reminder though, everyone. Eagle Eye Cherry's been redone by Sam Felt and Robin Schultz within like the last 5 years.
Right.
Oh.
So I don't think it needs to be redone.
Yeah. Okay.
Just a side note, you know. Throw
Yeah.
it in
Just
there.
a side note, still on the cover.
Just
Oh,
a
and
side-
Campsite Dream as like a chill, tropical house version.
Nice. Yeah, this
all.
one's got
I like this a lot.
yeah.
It's not cool.
Yeah, I like the vibe. I mean, I think it's a good good place to start.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And then build on this. But I think there's a really good. I just like the feel of it, the way it started, and this is the kind of stuff he makes regularly.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's a good vibe.
It was
I
good.
like it.
I liked it.
I still haven't heard the dope of the day.
Yeah.
The
Well,
demo
we're
of the
not
day
there yet. We're not
Yeah.
there.
We're not
Absolutely.
there yet.
We had a really insane week last week, though. Like everything
week
that
was-
submitted last week was
Last
wild.
week was crazy.
Yeah.
Set the bar super
Really
high.
Super high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nick,
It's
you
all
want to
right, we'll
try
get
audio mode, by the way?
I'm in custom mode, but yeah, I could switch to audio mode if you'd like.
Yeah, maybe that'll
Live music mode.
s-
You want me to
square
take it over
things
there?
out. Yeah. So,
Sure.
in case you're just joining us, since not being the DJ part of it kind of threw me off a little bit. You're listening to Dope or Nope, and we do this every week at 3 p.m. EST on Thursdays, and we get live demos. People are kind enough to let us share their creations and their music. Our cast of characters, let's start with Raquel Goldie from Vinny's Vibes on Globalization Sirius XM. Austin Kramer from Tomorrowland, Tomorrow World, Tomorrow Everything.
Tomorrowland.
Unreleased his Spotify playlist, which is exceptional, and his radio show, which is on Mondays. Lauren Padman, Vice President of Dimmock Records and all-around studio purveyor. Nick Dietrich, Liftoff Recordings, Liftoff Music. Which one are we doing?
Oh,
We're gonna
it's
change that,
liftoff
right?
recordings. I don't
It
know
is
what we're
Liftoff.
doing.
I don't know.
My head isn't on straight today, man.
I said
got-
Liftoff Recordings.
I got
this
pollen
time.
in
It
my
actually
brain.
It actually sounded right. And of course, the Disco Fries. And our special guest today, Kalina Zanders, who, wow, I don't even know where to start, really. Outstanding vocalist, DJ, writer, co-writer. I love that track you did with LP. That was
Thank
one of
you.
my faves. That, like, you came in so big on that. That was just,
Thank you.
you know, where you gotta kind of stand there and, like, I feel like that very old, what is it, a Dolby commercial? Remember the ad where the person's sitting in that chair?
Oh yeah.
The sound is like this.
Yes.
That's kind of what I felt like when I heard that song the first time.
That's what inspired my haircut, actually. Dolby commercial.
And of course, as usual, Lauren's hair is just making it into the picture. I think. Do you have to slouch a little bit to get the hair to like?
I actually am. Yeah. If I sit up straight, it's out. There's no point. What's the point? So I'll have to get down.
And Nick Dietrich is our DJ today. What do we have up next?
Unfortunately, let's see if the audio is any better here. It's probably gonna be hard to tell. We have JMG with new house type beat, and it looks like it's literally just a kick drum.
No.
Well, and a clap.
So keep scanning it through, and if it is, then we just move on to the next one. I don't know.
All right.
Boots and cats and boots and cats, exactly. Boogie of faders with that one.
I'm gonna jump ahead.
Please.
Here we go.
And there it is. A small kick. Right.
Here's a drop.
Ooh, clean.
All right.
All right.
Okay.
There it is.
This is-
JMG with new house type beat.
This is the inside of Austin's brain. I feel like his brain every day. Like
I
which is
smoked
great.
too much
I love
weed.
that.
Yeah. I burned my
Wow.
my synapsers.
That was it. Exactly.
What's going on
That's
today?
demo of the day, y'all.
Put
Sorry,
me
What's
in,
going
coach.
on
I
today?
Austin was gonna
Wait,
say
what?
that. See?
We need
Put
the
me
demo
on.
drop.
Come on.
Demo of the day.
Someone put
Do we
me
have a
in.
bell this week, Nick?
No.
I can't get the bell too. Just you give me too much to do, guys.
Nick's like, I've been doing this for 3 hours. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
Come on.
God.
Put me in. Someone put me in.
It'd be
So,
great
Kalina, what
in
if-
an elevator.
I have a question. Clean,
Yeah,
if
that's
somebody sent you this track and they're like, hey, can you, would you like to collaborate?
Nah.
Now, this is not a yes or no answer. I'm just curious. Well, like, where does your brain... Whoop.
Clint is reconnecting.
My brain
I guess
goes
that's
to
a-
where
I
it
guess
normally
that's a
goes
no.
with the records.
Right.
I
Someone
feel like
please put me in.
yeah, put you in to produce records, put you in to DJ the stream. Just Lauren's
No.
in.
Just okay. All right. So the good thing about that song was that there's really good room on the kick. When the kick hits, there's like this really nice decay on it. That's it. Moving on.
Okay.
Put you
Cool.
in for that.
And that's all. Mic drop.
There's room
All
in
right,
the track,
we're gonna-
so it's got
There's lots and lots of room in the track. It's
Potential.
very, very basic. It's an extremely simple idea. I can't imagine a single person saying, "Hey, have you heard that new song? It's amazing. You have to listen to it." It's not there yet. It's a very, very early writing demo, which is fine, except the sounds are too. They have no movement in it. So the first thing that you want to do is put some kind of shuffle in there. So put in some hats, so it's not so marching. Once you do that, then you can send it out to have other people help work on it.
I do like the bubbles, though.
Yeah.
Oh,
Anyway,
is this
moving on.
time?
What do we got?
Maybe it should go to finish my track.
No.
It could be. Depends on the budget, how ready it is.
Not ready.
All right, let's jump into the next one. Is from Rivera. It's called "Let You Go," and I just only heard a clip for a second there, and it sounds promising. So let me turn this up, and here we go. I'll jump back.
All my friends about you. How would you feel about that? Is it too much now, or do you feel the same way that I feel? Oh, stay on this path, don't want to go back. I don't wanna let you go. Baby, will you hold me close? Something that I've never known. I don't wanna let you
Really good ideas in there.
Yeah. I like that,
Mm-hmm.
actually.
Me too.
Todd Stuckey did say it is a
Splice vocal.
vocal.
Yep.
Wow, Stucky, he's on it.
He
He's on
knows,
it.
man.
He's like Quick Draw McGraw on that thing.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
love
yeah.
that vocal. That vocal's really cool.
Yeah,
So,
who was that again?
That was Rivera with "Let You Go."
Very nice.
My main thing on this record is that it displays how big of a difference good drums can make in a record. I feel like it's got a lot of great parts, but the drum sounds are not very good. They just don't fit the record that well. And these parts, they're fine. But like when it gets to that drop, it's just very underwhelming, and I think a lot of that could be fixed with better drums.
Yeah, that's completely fair. I think when it hit, it felt when it landed, this is nice. All this section is nice, and for someone like myself who I don't know that it's a Splice sample. I'm just like, oh yeah, nice vocal, floaty, kind of hooky. But when it lands, it doesn't land with a payoff.
Right.
And that's the trouble. So it needs that sort of thing, I suppose.
Plus this piece right here, the string, or that synth is just not hitting for me.
Yeah, the horn is very thin and it could use some fattening up for sure.
Right.
Some extra layers. It's good, it's fine as it is, but just it needs like 2 more layers on it.
It's a tad annoying.
Yeah, but imagine it had depth in it. Imagine it had some like darker brass in it. Imagine if it had like a trombone.
I like it here. This is cool. With it filtered out. Hold on, let me just turn this up really quick. This is kind of cool. Like as a texture versus it being a focused. It almost functions better like low pass like that with the vocal on top of it.
I feel like if they made it darker, it'd be really cool because the vocal's so airy and dreamy. So if you did actually build out the drop, how you guys are saying, and add different textures and layers, it would be really cool if it was like a darker, more like, I don't know, something that's making you gonna be like, ooh, I feel that in my soul.
Agreed.
Confusing. Like what it's doing now, I would expect it to do. So it's like, okay, well, it's just like that.
Yeah. I mean, overall, right, because these segments here were like the vocal and the hook, I mean, really compelling. But to what you were saying before, Lauren, and I don't really get too much in the studio part of it, but like those beats, they hit with like this like unimpressive thud. They're not, to me, they sound like, yeah, I mean, to joke about it a little bit, we would say like the beats need to be fatter, but that would be my studio lingo. But they definitely need to be more rounded. They're not warm. They feel like really, you know. But they got the vocal part right, and I think they have the structure proper.
It sounds like it's almost like it's missing an entire section of drums. It's almost it's like missing a bass line.
Like
it's
a track, like a whole track.
Yeah, for the whole track for sure, but especially the drop, it doesn't pay off. So when it lands, it'd be like listening to it in a studio and going, oh, okay, and then someone going, oh wait, sorry, I've unmuted this chain or this group,
right.
And then they take the mute off. And you're like, oh yeah, there you go, and it fills it up, and then it's more rocking. It's got more propulsion in it,
and then all of a sudden it works.
Yeah, so it's that close.
Right.
All right. Well, shout out to Rivera. Would let you go. We definitely stayed on the record for a while, so that means you've got something there.
Yeah.
We're gonna roll into Hoax with State of Mind is next up. You are listening to Dope or Nope.
a nice track.
Little break coming up. Cool track.
Yeah. Yeah, it was an interesting question from Cosmic Skies, by the way. Is a splice vocal a make or break for labels? Would love to know. I mean,
No, listen, I can speak to that because we've released tons of stuff with splice vocals, and
yeah.
the first thing I would say is, does it sound like other tracks that have already been released with a splice vocal? Because that's problematic.
Right.
Are you first, or are you nearly first? Have you arranged it in a different way? Have you treated it differently? Is it gonna sound like it's well thought out or intelligent, or is it gonna sound like you literally lifted it and just dropped it in? Does it sound glued into the track? Have you run a vocoder over it? Have you repitched it? Have you chopped it up differently? That kind of stuff is the first tell to making your production feel a little bit more expensive, whilst still being a splice sample. But there's been a couple of times on the show I've like, wait a minute, I recognize that, even in the last couple of weeks, and it turns out that, oh yeah, we released it, but the producers who we released it with using that splice sample were literally first, and I'm not mad at being first on a vocal sample, but again, it's going to feel weird later when it keeps getting released over and over. So doing it differently or moving the order around and making a new phrase is also cool as well. I'd be really interested in, if you have an opinion, Kalina, on the world of vocalists putting out vocal packs for like a royalty-free situation, and it being chopped up and made into a song. Have you had any experience with that, or around it, or heard anything, or what's your feeling, what's your vibe on it?
Yeah. First of all, I think it's a great tool for producers, like when they're starting out, and if they can't afford vocalists, that's something to start out. But eventually, like, I would think that you should hit up a vocalist and songwriter and try to work on something original. Secondly, I personally don't do splice packages. I won't sample my voice at all, just because I don't know, it cheapens my experience as an artist, and it is cheaper. Like, say you get a sync and you can't do anything about, like, if there's $100,000 sync for a television show or commercial, right, you won't get any of that portion because you have a royalty-free situation going on. So wow. I personally do not do that, and also it's cheap to me.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah, and I don't, and also, like, everyone's always hitting me up for, like, I just need that soulful vocal, and I'm like, okay, like, it's just like,
and listen, if I can speak to that, Kalina, I would also say that your voice is very unique and very instantly recognizable, and I think that for any vocalist who has a very recognizable voice like that, probably it's not for them, because the kind of voice that would do well on a splice is one where it's not necessarily, there's a few different voices that can sound like it, but when you've got a very, very unique tone, then to Kalina's point, it gives away that brand. You're basically lending your brand, your instantly recognizable thing to your track. So, but to Splice's defense, I'd also say that some singers who don't necessarily have a name or access, or they're on their way up, or they don't have a particular tone that's very specifically, it can only be them, it can only be Halsey and no one else, like her voice. Kalina, your voice is super unique. Then it makes sense for them, and it can work out, especially for people who are coming up and looking for options. So back to the original question, I don't think that was asked to us as a panel. I don't think that labels will really mind so much if you're using something, but if you're using it intelligently, will help as well.
Yeah, I think the answer is Labels are looking for their hair to stand up on their arms when you hear it.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
You know, because they're not going to go, was that a Spice vocal? They're going to go, holy, yes. They're
Well,
gonna
Lauren's
go,
hair
yes.
is always standing up.
Right.
I was like, did everyone else miss that? Or was
I
the
didn't
only
go there.
one? Me and
Actually,
me
this is
and
the
Lauren
first
were
time
like,
I didn't do that. This is the first
I
time.
totally knew that was where it was headed, and then when you said on their arms, I'm like, oh, never mind.
and then
That
and
was
then
it.
I literally
Wait,
just
wait.
went, okay, and we missed it. Okay.
Where it was headed
Headed.
Wow.
I like it.
on your head.
Woo.
Ah. Oh, there we go.
Oh my
Begging for that.
goodness.
All right. Let's,
All right, let's jump into it. We got
I just wanna say
Barkin.
Shout out to. Can I say something real fast? I want to say
Yeah,
shout out
of
to
course.
DJ Spawn. He's like gassing me up in
Yes.
the comments, and so thank you.
Oh,
Spawn
no,
is
man.
the best.
Yeah, thank you.
The bomb diggity.
Spawn.
Yeah.
Oh, the
Thank
sound
you for that.
effects are in. Now we're going.
Now we're,
Now
Yeah,
I'm getting into the flow now that the show's almost over.
10 minutes left.
It's good to go.
It's all
right,
good.
hit us.
Figured it
What's the
out.
next song?
We got Barkin with Sorry Human. Barkin's a regular here. Nope or nope.
I am listening.
What is artificial intelligence?
Sorry. I can't answer that.
It's manipulating you and you don't even know it. The rise of artificial intelligence.
I'm listening.
What is artificial intelligence?
Sorry. I can't answer that.
We need to slow down
I don't know how to respond. Sorry.
the rise of artificial intelligence.
Go ahead.
What is artificial intelligence?
I can't answer that.
The rise of artificial intelligence.
Sorry. I didn't get that.
I like this.
Sorry.
I don't want to let this ride.
I am listening.
What is
Track
artificial
is there.
intelligence?
Sorry.
100%.
I can't answer that.
This is going to take over the world. The rise of artificial intelligence.
Pretty sick.
Not bad.
I like that track a lot. And I'm not a fan of those like AI kind of vocal things. I feel like we always hear those and it's just like, could you have thought of something a little different? But that actually worked. And then the track kicked in and I was like, all right, I'm there.
Yeah.
Well, Knife Party kind of started that.
Mm.
Right.
Like,
And then it
years
got
ago.
all the way out to Cedric Gervais. And then I was like, and we're done.
Oh, the Molly one.
Yeah. Sorry.
Or you
It's like
could
the
say
old-
Daft Punk with Technologic.
Right. It's like that
I
old school
mean,
Windows sound. The old like Windows, you type in the word and get the voice.
Oh, yeah.
I think they were trying to emulate that. Side
That wasn't
note.
bad,
I'm
though,
trying to-
Barkin.
I think it's stem mix ready. Like it to me, it sounds like the elements are all there. I don't know that I'd change much with the production. It just sounds like it needs like a final mix for the type of record it is. I think it's great.
Right.
Mhm. Yeah, same.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Nice one.
All right.
Good
Let's
DJ
jump.
tool.
Definitely. All right, let's jump into Noish with Just Wanna Be. Where's the title's cut off? Just Wanna Be With You. And here we
You're
go.
listening to Dope or Nope live
I
demo.
wanted to tell you that I missed you, but I can't find the words to say. It's been a minute since I kissed you, but it feels like yesterday. It's been so long since I held you in my arms. The day you walked away, you took a piece of me. 'Cause now you're back, got me missing what we had. Baby, can't you say I just wanna be with you. With me. I wanted to tell you that I missed you, but I can't find the words to say. It's been a minute since I kissed you, but it feels like yesterday. It's been so long since I held you in my arms. The day you walked away.
All right.
You took a
Jump ahead a little. It jumps to the next drop. I got it.
Okay,
All right, I'm gonna take this one for a second because I really love some of the ideas here. The problem is the drop for me. Like, it's impossible to follow or sing along with those chops. And there's many records that do the chop thing, but they do it really well in a way where you can follow the pattern. So consider that when you work on that drop, because I would suggest reworking it. I think everything else like needs some love. You need like a little bit of ear candy in spots, but it's a well-produced song. You just can't follow the drop. The chop, like every bar, the chops are changing, and it never comes back around where you understand the rhythm or you understand just like the general melodic idea of those chops. So
right,
that's something I would consider.
I think with the vocals, it's important to sing in your range. So let's just, like, I feel like, just to know, like, if you can't do the high notes, don't do them. Okay? Yeah. Like, you don't need to do that to make it make sense. You can make it lower.
That part. Since I have you in my arms.
Yeah, because it's like sharp.
Yeah.
Well, that sounded way better.
I know. I was like, Kalina just like
that was awesome.
just gonna throw that out there.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of endearing about it. It's like sweet. That part of
Nick,
the
turn it down,
melody.
please.
It's low, man.
Turn it off.
To
then.
me, it has
It's
some
off.
sort of it has some sort of like nostalgia to it. But I think the tempo should be a little bit faster for like today's listener.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're gonna throw it back like that, I feel like that's like like a 2014, 2015 sound, but it's cool.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I agree with the drop is a little bit like, where am I going? But like there's something cool in it, like with the little kid pianos or whatever, little xylophone thing. But yeah, if the tempo was faster, like it would kind of slap.
Because it's like it's like kind of major Laser vibes. Throwback.
Yeah, it is.
That era
It is.
of music.
Oh,
so that's
maybe
why
they should go for more of that.
Yeah. I feel
Go
like
all
maybe
in,
we're
right?
in this like weird
Go
in-between.
all in on that.
With horns. Ba-da-da-ba-boom, ga-da-tss, dun, dun. Who produced that? Let me help you out.
Yeah. It feels like it's trying to be tropical house, but it's too slow for tropical house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the
We just gotta
chops
figure it
are
out.
those chops. To Nick's point, is the when a drop hits, the brain can only really pay attention to one, maybe two melodies at the same time, and there was no real melody in there. It was such a kerfuffle of different stuff happening all at the same time. There's another one for you, Austin.
Oh, what?
Kerfuffle.
Waffle.
Gotta explain that.
Yeah, no explaining. So
Oh.
that's the Australianisms. You just don't get explanations.
Oh,
You
wow.
have to figure it out.
That was the whole
Um,
beauty of it.
Yeah, it felt like a dog's breakfast when it come to which way it was headed.
What?
I'm giving you
Oh,
more.
now he's just gonna throw him out there.
Throw him in there.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a bit skew-if. There's another one. Wow.
Another one. Well,
That's a repeat, man. That's a repeat.
before Raquel dips, thank you, Raquel, for coming by to this hot
Thank
mess
you.
session of Dope or Nope today, where the audio sounded like Garbaggio, thanks to me.
It's
Garbaggio.
okay. It happens. We have things. Okay. I gotta
All
go,
right.
guys.
Nice.
Bye, guys.
See you, Raquel.
Kalina, nice
Bye,
meeting
Raquel.
you.
Thank you.
Nice meeting you too.
I know we got hard
Again.
outs today. Hard outs
Yeah.
today. So
I
can we
have
do
about
one
2
more?
minutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
One more. One
Yeah.
more
One more.
song.
All right. This is Heritage X with Thinking About You. See if the volume wants
With
to
the
go.
darkness closing, you still stay covered in light. Hey, I can be the one who's there with you. Yeah, I will be the one who's there with you. No thinking without you. Please, baby, reach out your hand. Keep us spiraling downward and losing sight of the land. Yeah, but I can be the one who's there with you. I will be the one who's there with you. Things look so different tonight. Left hanging out on the side while you go on with your life. It feels so different tonight. I'm holding up from the side. Now we get on with the time. I've been thinking about you. I've been thinking about you. Your touch, your eyes, and your hair. No time is over. You seem to get the air. Hey.
Some really cool ideas here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Super cool
Yeah.
ideas, yeah.
Very Galantis. Yeah, George, you're right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It feels like the drop was just about to start before it ended. So when it hits, those chords that were quite up and were about to start, bam, 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 they kind of just stopped instead of continuing, bam, 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 ba-da-dum, bam, 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 like fill it out, complete the rhythm, actually make it an actual progression, because it just stopped like it was the fourth or the false drop or the beginning of the second half or the end of the first half, but it was just like a dance floor. The trick to some of this about how the first part of your drop's going to be is the dance floor, and Kalina will tell you, and Nick will tell you, the dance floor will decide if they're into the song you're playing, the drop, in the first 8 beats of the drop. The first 8 kicks. You have 8 kicks. You have 2 bars. So when the drop goes, brrr, and then it lands and goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Everyone's decided if they're staying or they're going in that little piece. And I think that you've got the start of it right, and then it drops. So you probably get the first 4 beats right, and the next 4 were just nothing, that completely empty. And the person's like, oh, I don't really know if I want to continue. So you really need to sell it in the first 2 bars of the drop.
They call that the naked 8 in Australia,
Okay.
where you're completely exposed for those
Right.
2 bars.
Wait, what?
Wow.
Naked
Yeah.
8.
The old naked 8. Yeah, good point.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Oh.
wait, where did you get the book? I thought, is the book
He's-
for sale now?
He's
Or-
keeping it.
Nah, he's
okay.
keeping it.
Come on.
All right.
I feel like I want to know why they chose to do the drop tune vocal. Like, I feel like that was, I haven't heard the original, but I don't think that was necessary for this song. And then I feel like, yeah, I love what you said about the drop. It should be a little bit more. And then I felt like the brass or whatever the hits are felt quite tinny, and I think they need to be more
agreed.
massaged and upgraded, or some sort of like more current sound. But I think it could be a big record if that worked out that way,
Agreed on the sound of the horns, and like those pianos are really thin. If you could
Yeah.
thicken those up, I think it's got a lot of potential. Anyway, guys,
Wait,
it's been an
who was that
amazing
again?
session. That
Heritage
was
X.
Heritage
X with Thinking About You.
Super cool.
And he's got
Super cool.
21 followers on SoundCloud, so he's definitely
Super
Yeah.
new. Well, but that's the whole
Super
game,
new.
right? That's what
Yeah.
we're doing here. And if you join us every week, and a lot of the people who drop us demos every week really do, and so Kalina, you can kind of see what we're doing, sort of on the fly, listening to this stuff, gathering. That's what's really great about it, I think, and the most fun is like we're doing this really together on the fly. So we hear something, we're like, oh, there's a piece of that, and then this could happen or that could happen, or sometimes there's nothing to say. Where it's just like, demo of the day. I think we had like 3 or 4 of those last week.
we did.
Last week was
week was
really exceptional.
Yeah.
But so we do this every week, 3 p.m. EST. on Thursday during the summer. And you guys, thank you again for spending your time and doing that. And Kalina, thank you for spending your time and for jumping in and helping us out. And much success, continued success for you. What's the next thing? Where are you going next? What are you doing?
Well, the next thing. Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for having me, and this is really cool, and I would love to come back. I love this kind of thing.
Careful what you ask for.
Oh no! Lauren's like, hey, how you doing? How you doing?
Let's go.
Hey, how's it going? What are you doing this Thursday? Yeah, let's get it. That's his inner dialogue.
Right, true. She's right.
What do I have next? I'm going to New Mexico, playing a show, and I have some songs I don't know. Oh, I should do a Dope or Nope in here with you. I have some songs that maybe you guys can be like, oh, that's cool or not. You know?
That would be awesome.
That would be insane to have you let us share some of your creations. That would be really fun.
For sure.
Thank you for hanging out today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I've got to go to a session, so I will see you all later.
Yeah, well,
We'll see you guys.
Make some noise.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Woo! All right, guys, we're gonna raid into our mutual friend, the one and only Liquid Todd.
Hey.
Wow. Liquid Todd, I love
Oh, hey. Hey, you guys, don't forget, hug someone you love. Have a great weekend. Stay safe, and see you next week.
There you go.
Take care,
All
everybody.
right, Twitch, we're sending you off. And hold on, don't end that stream.